They tied ASU, but for sheer purposes of bragging rights, Utah State actually beat them in a shootout.
Wow. Okay, so anyway, big weekend here for the D2 Ice Jacks. It is versus ASU, like I said, Friday night here at J Lively. That's going to be pretty interesting. So and just getting that out of the way early.
Yeah, and also for scheduling purposes, we do also play them again, but that will be in Tempe, so that's why it's going to be a little bit interesting this weekend.
Okay, so anyway, be on the lookout for that. We're going to be broadcasting that again here on KJAC Radio Friday night at 8:30. So if you don't get enough of me tonight with this 2-hour time slot, you can tune into that as well. Anyway, now Tanner Duke is joining us. Again, this is Fantasy Inside Access here on KJAC Radio, 1680 AM here in Flagstaff, Arizona. The focus of tonight's show is going to be football, so hopefully you guys are big football fans if you tuned in to listen tonight. Again, I always encourage guys to interact with us throughout the show, whether it be on Twitter, on Facebook, or by calling into the booth. The number for that is 928-523-4554. Once again, that's 928-523-4554. Feel free to call in at any time throughout the show. Now that it's a 2-hour-long show, we're not really going to have the whole half-an-hour caller thing. You guys can call whenever you want. Feel free to jump in the discussion if you guys ever have any comments with anything we have to say. Obviously, I know a lot of people are going to have something to say about these championship games, so you can jump in on that as well. I'm sure with Caruso we can cover a little bit of hockey. I'll cover a little bit of basketball, and we'll touch on college football as well.
I've got plenty to say about this football lineup.
Easy there.
Yeah. Well, first off, let's just get that out of the way. I couldn't be more bummed out about the Super Bowl this year. I think it's probably the two teams that I dislike the most in all of football.
Well, coming from a New Yorker, that's very expected. So, I mean...
coming from a New Yorker, I'm going to be cheering as hard as I can for Tom Brady this week. I mean, I hate Boston, but one, I respect Brady, and I don't respect anything about the Seattle Seahawks. So we're definitely, at least at the Carmen house for this Super Bowl party I'm throwing, we're definitely going to be pro New England. That's for sure. So
that sounds good to me.
Let's say neutral might be maybe a best bet for you at this point.
Well, speaking of neutral and best bets, I mean, the line in Vegas on this game is just about even. I mean, this is as much of a pick'em game as I've ever seen. I think it's +1 New England last I saw. But
when you have Sports Center that even says it's a pick'em game, that just shows you how close it's going to be. All we can pray for.
Yeah, absolutely.
As sports fans, I don't care if you watch badminton, tennis, hockey,
college swimming. I don't care what you watch.
We just want, as fans of the biggest Sunday of the year coming up February 1st, we don't want to see a blowout like last year.
Yeah, we don't want to see last year.
We really don't.
Even if Seattle wins, I just don't want it to be like that. I even had Seahawks fans tell me last year that they didn't want it to. They didn't want it to be like that.
Halftime.
It was a terrible game. So hopefully it's not like New England and Indy this past weekend. We'll start with that just because it's not going to take as long. That game absolutely felt like it took forever if you watched it. I actually watched every minute of it just because I had nothing better to do and I was waiting for the UFC fights to start.
Hey, those are some good fights this week.
We will absolutely cover that as well. I'll get into that for sure, but I felt like that game kind of just took forever. LeGarrette Blount, again, proves to be the kryptonite of the Colts. He was last year in the playoffs, and this year he is again.
Shows how much Pittsburgh ended up missing out on there.
Well, even more than that, because I think Pittsburgh probably would have won that game if they had a healthy running back like Blount, when Bell went down. But... I don't think Pittsburgh would have competed with Indy.
Probably not.
I know they definitely wouldn't have with New England. But all I'm going to say is that was one of the most disappointing games, especially after the way the first one ended. To go to that, I mean, 45-7 was the final in favor of the Patriots,
and that was the crazy thing. Before halftime, the score was 17-7.
Yeah.
That's easily come back for a guy like Andrew Luck. That's the easy way to
come
back.
And that's kind of why I stuck around. I'm like, okay, this isn't bad. What we just saw, anything can happen, and then
21 points later,
it was just bad.
21 points later,
it
in the
was
third
terrible.
quarter, just yikes.
Yeah, that was no fun to watch at all.
Brady was 23 and 35 with 226 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And then Blunt had 3 touchdowns of his own.
Yeah, he ran for 30 rushes, 148 yards by himself. I mean,
and 3 touchdowns.
No,
so
there was no answers.
And he had 4 last year. So in 2 playoff games against the Colts, LeGarrette Blunt has nearly 300 yards and 7 touchdowns.
I mean, you had Hilton and Heron for the Colts, who had a combined less than 100 yards and no touchdowns. I mean, guys.
Yeah, they called him Boom, but that was a bust.
Yeah, it was.
It's like that. It's like that really big firecracker that you're lighting up on 4th of July, and it's just a complete dud.
Yeah, a dud. That's exactly what happened this week. It was so tough to see because I really root for Andrew Luck. I mean, I saw him in his final game in college at the Fiesta Bowl. And that was the most heartbreaking game I've ever witnessed in person.
He's had some. When you see some of the losses he's had in his career,
that one wasn't on him. He did everything right. In that
he
game.
did everything right.
But what it comes down to is, I pull for the kid, and I root for him. Basically, whenever he's not against Peyton Manning, I'm pulling for him. And so last week was kind of hard, but
that's
the time of just to throw other facts out there, just for sheer numbers. I mean, the time of possession was 37-22.
Yeah,
for numbers wise, a team could win with only having the ball for 27 minutes, but when you only get 1 touchdown.
They were terrible. Yeah, they just were. If you watch that game, they just looked terrible. Andrew Luck can't do it by himself, and if you look at that team, he's doing it alone. I mean, there was a report last year that came out that they pulled, I think, 30 front office guys in football, and they said that the Indianapolis Colts minus Andrew Luck. They took the best player away from every team in this poll.
Yeah.
And so they took Andrew Luck away from the Colts.
Of course.
They said the Colts minus Andrew Luck is the weakest roster in football.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they
have a terrible roster. They don't have any help for this guy.
I mean, you can argue maybe the good old-fashioned Oakland Raiders and maybe the Miami Dolphins.
Oakland has more talent than them.
Oakland's got way more talent.
Oakland doesn't have a coach to save their life. They do now. We'll touch on coaches later because that's just a huge carousel that we'll spend a lot of time on later. But
spin the imaginary wheel of coaching staffs that could have gone through the Raiders.
And it's still going on today. But what it comes down to is the Colts don't have a playoff caliber roster. They just don't. They have a superstar quarterback, and that's it.
And they made it to the conference final.
Yeah,
that shows you
that shows you how good Andrew Luck is.
Or that obviously, but the fact that that's a very hard-working team to at least get to that point. But yes, having Andrew Luck behind the helm makes a difference because he could thread the needle 50 yards away. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, he's incredible.
No, Andrew Luck is ridiculous talent.
And he's what, a third-year player or second-year player?
Third year.
He's in his third year. Yeah,
ridiculous.
That brings me to the point that I was going to mention is Andrew Luck is finally able to extend his contract at the end of this year. They are currently in talks. Actually, right before kickoff, this story broke that they're currently in talks to make Andrew Luck the highest-paid player in all football. And honestly, it doesn't really surprise me.
It sounds like fun.
It sounds surprising, but at the same time, you don't want it to be a situation where you have other players that they get signed these massive bonuses or these massive paychecks, and all of a sudden their career goes down. You don't want to see that.
He's not going to do that.
But that's the thing. He's not
Andrew
that kind
Luck
of
has too much character to do that.
Oh,
I have no doubt in my mind he's going to keep up what he's doing. But
the boy finished school. I mean, that shows you enough about his character alone.
He would have been a number 1 overall pick coming out after his junior year.
And now
he went back and graduated.
I remember sitting on my couch the first day I saw that, and the fact that he was able to choose to finish college. I remember sitting on the couch, he said that on a press conference. I'm sitting there going, wow, this is a guy, not only can you respect how good of a football player he is, you can respect him as a person, as a guy with integrity, and is smart enough to say, you know what? Football isn't going to last forever. Yeah. I need to get my degree. yes, I'm going to get a massive paycheck because I know how good I am. Maybe not like as good as he is now. He didn't realize that, but he's now in a position where, yes, he can make a decent amount of dough, but he has a degree to fall back on now. Just shows his integrity, who he is as a person.
Yeah, and that's why I have no worries whatsoever about him getting the massive contract. He's going to get it. He's earned it. He's going to continue earning it. But it just goes back to the point where he doesn't have any help now.
It's almost as if he needs to not take that big contract just so they can use that extra money
to
that's
buy
other players.
Yeah, that's what I was going to try to say. It's, he doesn't have help when he's making $5 million a year.
Yeah.
Imagine how little he's going to have when he's making
50.
4 times that.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's not like Jim Irsay is going to go out of the way. All Jim Irsay spends money on is painkillers. So
let me buy some pills. You got any?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I have no respect at all for Jim Irsay.
That's no fun.
And that's a big reason why I'm not too heartbroken that Indy lost. Is I'm not going to pull for Jim Irsay to succeed.
It was more gut-wrenching and heartbreaking the way they lost than anything else. And
no football fan wants to see that.
I mean, it wasn't like the Jameis Winston where he grabs the ball, he's about to throw it, and then loses it off his fingers, and that's basically it after that.
But even that was a better game because that was a game for the first the first 2.5 quarters.
That was a great game until the first 2 quarters.
The first half of that game was incredible, and then the third quarter, they just had one of the biggest meltdowns. One of the biggest meltdowns I've seen until, a couple days ago.
I was at the point of tears. I was laughing so hard because of how bad Florida State imploded.
Yeah, they did in a minute, and we'll touch on that as well. But just back to the point of the AFC Championship game. Let's just wrap it up with talking about this whole deflation story with deflating the ball.
I don't even.
All I'm going to say on that, if you watch that game, I don't care if they're playing with golf balls, tennis balls, basketballs. It doesn't matter. New England's winning that football game.
For sure.
Indianapolis looked horrible in that football game. I don't care what was going on with the footballs. And obviously, if the referees are spotting it, and they don't even see it as an issue, it's probably not that big of an issue anyway.
No, probably not. They probably deflated them down to their minimum. That's probably what it was. If they deflated them, there's like that range that they're allowed. It's probably down at the very minimum it was allowed.
Yeah, well, and there's really no report on that. The only report is that DeQuell Jackson, the middle linebacker, the Colts who intercepted a Tom Brady pass, is rumored to have said something about the balls being deflated. But then they asked him about it, and he said he didn't say anything. So if their source isn't even supporting it, then what kind of story is it? I mean, I think more than anything, it's just people looking for a reason to bash on Belichick and Brady and all that.
They want to find a reason because they're jealous. I mean, look at the success that those two have had.
Yeah.
It is one of the greatest.
Except against Eli.
And it's only when it comes to the Super Bowl.
As true as that is.
And that's only because Eli Manning only decides to be a good quarterback when he's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's basically
Eli Manning only plays well in the Super Bowl. Other than that, he's a terrible quarterback.
He really is.
I mean, it doesn't help New England's. It doesn't help Indianapolis's case when New England goes 2 for 2 on 4th down conversion.
Yeah.
And then they go 12 and 18 on 3rd down conversion.
Yeah, 12 of 18.
Yeah, no. Speaking of 4th down conversion,
the Colts,
what about Green Bay?
The Colts,
I know.
The Colts efficiency, they were 3 and 11.
Yeah,
that is
it was
3rd down, not good.
It's weird not being the numbers guy or not. I can't lie.
Yeah, he's got his computer up.
I came here prepared, boys.
I ate on the way here. That's the extent of what I did.
You didn't eat here?
I ate on the way here.
Oh dude. Yeah, all the blood's going to your stomach. I was trying to digest your food. Was that,
Probably.
Was that a Hot Pocket I saw you walk in with, too?
No, my brain's just fried tonight. Ooh. I got a long day on Tuesdays.
Tuesdays
we all do. Tuesdays are our hardest days.
Yeah, I know. This show makes me go 12 hours.
Yeah, me too, actually.
This is our place of zen and peace. This could be our time to just decompress and relax of the day.
I like that idea.
Absolutely, and if anybody wants to join in on that, again, you can call in at 928-523-4554 if you guys have any thoughts on the AFC Championship. How you feel about the deflation story, how bad that game was, but
you can hit us up Facebook. We have a Fantasy Inside Access Facebook page. We're gonna try to start getting that more up and running here as the semester progresses. We're only a week in, so cut us a little bit of slack. You can hit us up on Twitter. We follow the hashtags FIAccess, FIAXECESS. That's the best way to get in touch with us, and you can follow us.
Yep. At Braden Carmen.
And I finally changed mine to something decent. Mine's at the Tanner Duke.
Oh, attaboy. There you go.
Right.
So
that's original.
Nothing. I couldn't use Tanner Duke. I couldn't use Tanner _Duke. They're all taken. So I was like, all right, screw it.
The Tanner Duke.
So the Tanner Duke for mine. FI Access is a good one. Is a good hashtag to use. You can text us. You can Facebook message us. You can hit us up on the Facebook page.
Absolutely. You can do that throughout the show. You can call in as well. You can also do that throughout the week if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, this semester we're going to try to just kind of all the shows in general are going to kind of do better about the social media thing. So we're going to try to kick it into a higher gear for this upcoming semester.
Yep, podcasting as well. So keep your ears open for that. We're going to mention that as well.
Let me just touch on that first before I forget. So what we're doing is we're recording all of our shows, and they're actually going to go up on YouTube. Is how we're going to do it now.
Nice.
We're going to have the audio. Throw the audio up over a picture of the KJack logo. Throw it up on YouTube, and we're going to have like an entire archive on YouTube of Fantasy Inside Access shows. So go to the Facebook page. That's where probably we're going to be sharing those links and keeping track of that.
Yep.
I'll tweet out the links when I get them. Usually, if I'm not busy Tuesday nights, I'll usually have them up probably Tuesday or like Wednesday, maybe Thursday at the latest. I'll try to get them up as soon as I possibly can. Sometimes life gets in the way, but more often than not, look for it by Thursday at the latest. It's going to be on YouTube. Still working out what channel that's going to be on, if we're going to make a dedicated channel for that, or if there's already a KJack channel. We're working on that one. But this show specifically should be up hopefully by the weekend.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, that's good.
And just from now on, we're going to get every show recorded, upload it to YouTube, and you can go back and listen to them at any time. And if you're tech savvy enough, you know how to rip audio off of a YouTube video, and you can put it into your iTunes or on your MP3 players or your Android phones or anything like that, and you can have it saved for reference. If we say one thing on one show and we say something else on another show, you can call us out on it. Because I know it'll happen with me, because I spew all sorts of random stuff, and
I gotta get you a waffle maker because you're such a waffler. You flip flop on everything.
God, I'm worse than Romney.
You are the
anyways,
the maestro. Maestro.
That was an epic rap battle reference. But anyways, so yeah. So
absolutely, that's a great way to kind of keep you guys updated on that. Again, Tanner and I will both keep you posted on everything that we do with that. And again, if you guys have anything to say throughout the show, feel free to call in or interact with us in any way possible. But I've been putting it off as long as I possibly could. We've gone 22 minutes without having to indulge into this, but
can't really avoid it. There's kind of a white elephant in the room right now.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's finally address the discount double choke.
Ooh. You better trademark
please
that.
tell me you came up with that.
Yeah.
Please trademark that.
But the Green Bay Packers choked like I've never seen a team choke, and gave away the NFC Championship
Whoever is their offensive coordinator needs to be fired.
Tom Clements. Tom Clements is the OC, but the play caller is Mike McCarthy.
It's 4th and goal at the 1. You have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback.
And twice they kick a field goal.
And you kick a field goal.
Throw it.
On the road against the defending champs, and they play conservative.
That and two guys on two specific
Did you watch
plays
the game?
did not do their jobs. I saw it till like the very end, and I had to go to work.
Okay. The end of the game was worse.
What the heck, man? You don't watch the floater.
Yeah. Well,
that and dude,
yeah,
what's his name needs to block.
There are so many things. All right, there are so many things that go into that collapse, and with about 5.5 minutes left, Green Bay has the ball and a 2-score lead. And from that point on, Seattle can do everything right, and they still won't win, as long as Green Bay just doesn't give it away. And I have never seen, in my time as a sports fan, a bigger collapse than I witnessed in that game. That is the biggest choke I have ever seen in a sports event in my entire life.
They had a total of 6 points in the fourth quarter just on field goals. I mean...
and one of them was Crosby bailing them out at the very end.
And let's be honest here. The
MVP of that game would have been Crosby if they won. I mean, that guy's the only one that did anything right in that game.
yeah, he scored most of the points because
Yeah,
they
if
went
you
for
watch
field
that
goals.
game, if you watch that game, the only guy that did anything right is Mason Crosby.
I mean, let's be honest here. For all intents and purposes, Crosby's 48-yarder, that was sweet.
Yeah, that was
sweet.
money.
Any other time of the year, that's a top 5, top 10 play on SportsCenter,
Yeah, that
not
was
even a
money.
question. But because it is so eclipsed by the fact that how everything just went wrong from the start of the second half till the final toss by Russell Wilson to Caruso. Wow.
It's terrible. There's a lot of stats I want to mention.
There's no Seattle
the first thing
did
I want to
not-
say is the Jermaine Kearse touchdown that won it. One of the stats I just want to throw out because Caruso's been spewing stats over there like crazy.
I got you.
Jermaine Kearse catching that touchdown. Prior to that, in that game, Russell Wilson was 0 for 5 with 4 interceptions when he targeted Jermaine Kearse.
That dude.
Speaking of 4 interceptions, there's no way Russell Wilson throws 4 picks and Seattle deserves to win that game. Seattle's offense couldn't even generate points till the second half. They got their only points.
Even their offense didn't. They had a fake field goal from the
Exactly.
Canadian punter.
Hey,
It was terrible.
So, in his defense, those Canadian punters are very sly. I've actually had chances to watch.
Usually Australians.
Yeah, but I've actually had privileged
Ben Graham.
chances to watch Canadian football because I go to Toronto every summer, and some of those catchers are really crafty. They're crafty because they have more skill than you realize. When you see a guy like him make a play like that,
I'll tell you what, it's a heck of a throw. He's running to his left on a bootleg, and he just floats it in the air.
And it was so graceful. It's like loving it.
Just the fact that your kicker and punter had to get you points on the board, and your quarterback throws 4 interceptions, and you still walk away the champion of that game.
That is called a team effort.
No, that's called choking.
Well,
that's called choking.
That's
from
called
Green
the
Bay.
discount double choke.
I'm saying this right now. Okay,
On
yeah,
air.
I'm a Seattle. I'm definitely a Seattle hater. I hate the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're all dirty. I think they're all cheaters. I can't stand that team. But more than anything, they did not deserve to win that football game.
No.
I know Seattle fans who were on Twitter saying ball game when he threw that 4th pick with 5 minutes to go. Their own fans left the stadium. They're known as the 12th man because they have the best fans. They left. People walked out. They did not earn that win. Green Bay gave them that game.
Yeah, no,
I've never seen a team choke like that. Ever.
It's like your mom goes into the closet and goes, "Oh wait, that was a Christmas gift I was supposed to wrap. Hey, honey, do you want it?"
It's not even. It's so bad.
They genuinely gave it away.
It was definitely one of those games that you could look at it from
There's
either
so
way.
many things to touch on. I mean, you can start with the play calling in the first quarter, where they don't go for it either time on fourth and goal at the 1.
Even if you turn it over, you've got Seattle
they still
on
have them
the
pinned
1.
at the 1, and they have no passing offense.
No, it's like, Marshawn probably marches through, but still, I mean, 4 yards.
And they did
inside the
nothing.
10, you're
the
fine.
entire first half, they did nothing.
They had chances.
They're not even going to get out of the end zone.
They had
I'll tell you
chances
that right now.
They had the chances.
I think
to
when
step on their throats.
we were texting, I was texting during the game, and I'm pretty sure I said, unless Green Bay screws this up, this game is theirs.
Yeah, Tanner did say that. He said, unless this is over, unless Green Bay screws this up, this is over.
This was at halftime.
Exactly.
You
That's
called it,
what
apparently.
happened. Green Bay screwed it up. Seattle didn't win that game.
No,
They didn't win it.
Seattle didn't win. Green Bay lost that game.
That is
that's
the
that's
best
the headline,
example
but-
of a team losing and giving away a game. It really is. There's so many things to touch on. I just want to list them all out. First, it was the play calling in the first half.
Yeah.
That way too conservative.
Oh, definitely.
You know, if you are on the road against a team that already beat you this year, against the defending champions, and probably the toughest place to play in the world, you can't be conservative. You can't say, points are better than no.
Yeah, I mean,
you go for it.
Yeah,
you
sure.
go for the win early. You got to be aggressive in that situation.
definitely. I'm like, yeah, sure, Aaron Rodgers hobbled, and most of their playbook, they had to get. I saw an article about the division game before that because of Rodgers' calf, every single snap he took was from shotgun. They took out every single play that had him under center. So yeah,
they didn't in this one. He was under center.
Was
for
he?
some
I
of it,
never
yeah.
saw him under
No,
center.
he was under center.
But
But it's like still
a couple pistols.
just because you're down, part of your playbook because you don't want to put him under center. There's no excuse. I don't even care how many plays you take out because of him being under center. You still got Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. Yeah. You have 2 good running backs.
Here's the
and
thing.
You have
that's the thing right there. You have Eddie Lacy.
Wide receivers.
If you watch the first quarter of that game, Eddie Lacy was running with a purpose. Eddie Lacy was running people over every time he got the football, and he got stopped one time. They tried to give it to John Kuhn once. That didn't work, and then they gave up and kicked the field goal both times. They shouldn't be giving it to John Kuhn, who gets his knee down at the half-yard line. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. You shouldn't be throwing fades. You shouldn't do any of that crap.
If you're not handing
it that right now, give it to Eddie Lacy. He's running people over. He's a top 5 running back in the NFL. He was killing people in that first quarter, and you need to be aggressive. So there is the first mistake.
And even if something happens to Lacy, James Starks is still a decent backup running back for Green Bay.
He had a 30-plus yard run later in the game.
He plows through him too, and then you've got Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb.
Yeah,
as your wide receiver.
Cobb ended up. I want to touch on
and
Cobb.
And Cobb comes out of the backfield too. You can use Cobb anywhere, like Percy Harvin.
Did you hear the story about Randall Cobb?
I did not hear the story about Randall Cobb.
Okay, Randall Cobb the night before that game was in the hospital for over 3 hours, and he had such severe stomach pains that they thought it was appendicitis.
Oh my god!
And he was in the hospital for 3.5 hours throwing up blood the night before the game, and he went out and played the game and caught a touchdown.
And you still kick field goals on 4th and 1
That guy's
from
a man.
They had the Green Bay Packers had so many.
And Richard
chances.
Rodgers, the tight end, is no slouch either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
They've got probably one of the most potent offenses with the most amount of weapons.
Oh, they have the most potent offense.
They have the most amount of weapons you can think of.
Yeah.
And
so
they lost that game.
their first mistake is the play calling in the first quarter.
Definitely.
The play calling continued even more in the fourth quarter because when they had that 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, every time they got the ball, they were the most conservative offense I've ever seen.
Prevent offense.
Yeah, they were playing prevent offense, especially after that Morgan Burnett pick, the 4th pick, which I'll touch on that too. They called 3 straight runs, 2 negative rushes by Eddie Lacy, who got blown up in the backfield both times. He got hit before he barely even had the ball in his hand. And then he had a 2-yard run. Run, punt. You have Aaron Rodgers, and you need 1 first down, and the game's over.
They had so many chances to step
and they punted away. Then Seattle goes all the way down the field. Russell Wilson runs in a touchdown from 1 yard out, makes it 19-14. It's still 2 minutes to go, 2:09 to go.
And they were a half inch of Marshawn Lynch's toe from losing before that.
Yeah.
It's like Marshawn Lynch is not very good at tiptoeing that sideline, though.
They play
as graceful as that guy might be, right? He just runs into people and it hurts.
Yeah, the thing is, they played conservative throughout the entire game, whether it be first quarter or the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Nothing was more conservative than the Morgan Burnett pick, because as soon as he picked the ball, I don't know if you guys were seeing that, but as soon as Morgan Burnett picked it, he goes down on a knee. I'm like, there's 5.5 minutes left in the game. It's not over. Okay? It should have been over. Any other team in football, it probably would have been over. I have faith that the Buffalo Bills wouldn't have even choked it away that bad. But he goes down to a knee with 5.5 minutes to go when he had an open field in front of him. There was nobody left. He was throwing it to Curse. Curse was down. The other guys were running flies on the far side of the field. There was no one left to stop him but linemen and the quarterback. And he goes down to a knee. And all he needed to do, if he just kept running, even if he ran to the sidelines, he's going to get an extra 15 yards. He's probably in field goal range, and then the game's over.
Yep, pretty much.
So there's Morgan Burnett screwing it up. And then I hate to rip on him for the end of the game, because in the first half, he played absolutely unbelievable football. Through the first 3 quarters, he was probably the best safety I've ever seen. But Clinton Dix blew it at the end.
Yeah, watching that floater, 2-point conversion.
He completely mistimed it.
He got caught
on a 2-point conversion.
He got caught staring at the stars on that one because he thought for sure that was just going to somehow flutter or maybe just go towards him.
Seattle doesn't get that 2-point conversion. Green Bay's field goal wins the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that was that was a Hail Mary heave by Russell Wilson.
I'm not even sure.
Just trying to get it. I mean, he just throws it up for the heck of it.
He had
nothing
no
else
idea.
happen.
He had no idea where he was throwing that.
They stopped
right
him
to
completely. He stops and makes the worst throw you could possibly make as a quarterback. But it's his only option. So he just throws it up there for grabs. Clinton Dix has forever just to go and bat it down. And he mistimes his jump.
Yeah. Russell Wilson, through like the first half, had a quarterback rating of 0.
Yeah, he was not good.
In the first
0.
quarter, it was exactly 0.
Was
I know
0.
that for sure.
He was
Through the first 3 quarters, it was something like 12.
He was
like
terrible. He was like 1 for 8 for 12
His
yards
first-
and 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
Half of his passes went to the other team.
Yeah,
they
he
still
started off 1
didn't
for
lose that
8
game.
for 14 yards and 3 picks.
In his defense, though, you have to give him credit.
No,
hold on.
don't say
don't
in his
even.
defense. He
No.
played
Hold on,
horrible.
hold on.
Russell Wilson
He needed-
deserved to be benched during that game.
When he scored the touch,
Tavares.
when he scored,
Well, they sent him out for the coin toss.
when he scored the touchdown himself to run it in with about 2 minutes and 9 seconds left to make it 19-14. You could see he started to turn it around because he needed that confidence to say, I scored for my team. I finally possibly have turned things around confidence-wise. I can start heaving the ball like I'm supposed to.
All that touchdown run did was up his quarterback rating by like a couple of points.
Stats aside, I'm talking just purely for a confidence standpoint. He needed
Yeah,
that
probably told Seattle like, oh yeah, maybe we're still in this game. It's because Green Bay choked it away. Seattle did nothing to win that game.
That is the common denominator how bad Green Bay blew this game.
Dude, any other team, any other game during the season,
Oh.
that kind of quarterbacking performance gets you benched.
Stuck with them, they won the game.
I mean, look at what happened to Brian Hoyer. He did the same thing. He got benched for Johnny Football.
Well,
Let's be honest, Johnny Football is not
that
good.
came from upstairs first off.
Yeah.
But even more than that, I'm not saying Russell Wilson needs to be benched. Russell Wilson's not. He's never going to get benched.
No, he's
just not.
He's
and
not anymore,
look at. We were just talking about Andrew Luck's contract. Russell
Seattle
Wilson's
wants to give
gonna go
him more
through the
money
roof.
than what Andrew Luck's.
He's
They
going
wanna
to
give
get it
Andrew Luck.
too. He's going to get it.
Oh yeah,
But-
definitely. I don't.
Especially if they
giving
win
him-
the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, because then he's going to win 2 Super Bowls in a row on a rookie deal. So, and his rookie deal is basically barely above the minimum.
Yeah.
Because he was a 3rd-round pick.
It would be the first back-to-back Super Bowl win since I think
New England.
Since New England.
New
did it.
England. It was a 04-05.
No,
Yes.
it was
No.
before that. Before
Oh,
that.
you
It
sure?
was. I
Really?
think it was 03-04. But
Okay.
yeah, those
thinking
New
of
England teams where they won 3 and 4 years.
Oh,
But-
those teams were just ridiculous.
But that, and it's kind of ironic to see that. Well, that was after.
That's a different
but
problem.
Spygate was afterward, but
Oh, yeah.
Spygate was in the perfect season. But anyway, you know, the thing I don't want to do too much. I mean, it's hard for me to kind of stay professional when I talk about Seattle because I can't stand them, and I think so many negative things about that football team, and I don't want to give them any credit. But in this performance, they don't deserve it.
No.
They really don't. I have friends that are Seahawks fans who already gave up on that game.
Yeah.
I know people that walked out of that stadium, okay? People are tweeting all day long, this is the worst performance I've ever seen. Russell Wilson's not a star quarterback. He just got lucky last year. That team's nothing, blah, 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 blah. They didn't earn that game. Green Bay gave it away. You know, we haven't even talked about Brandon Bostic's choke at the end. He's out there on an onside kick to block. He is a big body to get in front of Chris Matthews so Jordy Nelson can grab the ball. And right behind him is Jordy Nelson, the leading receiver in the NFC. He has the best hands in the entire freaking conference, and all he needs to do is let it fall into his hands, and the game's over. And Brandon Bostic, instead of blocking, jumps up, gets in the way, and gives the game away.
Takes a ball off the helmet. Right through his hands.
And I still had faith Aaron Rodgers was going to come back. I told everybody that I was talking to at the time, I said, I still believe in Aaron Rodgers. I know he's going to
you told me
come
that.
back.
And then
They drove down the field and tied the game.
yeah.
And then, you know, they didn't even get a chance in overtime.
Oh,
But
and by the way, Braden, just for your argument, the Patriots won back-to-back in 04 and 05.
okay.
Hey.
So Tanner's right.
I totally that was spitballing, but yeah. So
You know, and I know that a lot of people that like Seattle have already ripped me for how negative I am on the team, and
I'm a Cardinals fan. It's an interdivision rivalry.
Sorry, I like class in sports, so that's why I'm bummed out about this Super Bowl. You got Belichick versus Pete Carroll. I mean, you don't have any class in that whatsoever.
The great thing is they're not using our locker room.
I was about to ask you about that.
University of Phoenix Stadium has 3 locker rooms. One is the Cardinals, one is the visitors, and one is a spare locker room. The Hawks and the Patriots are going to be in those 2 spare locker rooms.
Did I even given either of them? That's awesome.
Because they built the stadium in mind of hosting
Super Bowl
third-party events like bowl games and Super Bowls and Pro Bowls in this case.
Gotta give the guy who
don't even talk about the Pro Bowl. It's just a joke.
Oh, Pro Bowl.
No one cares about the Pro Bowl. Andy Dalton just got named to the Pro Bowl. Okay,
I might be going.
Andy
to the Pro
Dalton's
Bowl,
a joke.
So
hey, the Pro Bowl.
I might get to go to the. I might get to go to the Pro Bowl. So
hey, you get to maybe meet somebody. Hey,
I'd rather watch a Pee Wee game. At least they care.
It'd
pretty
still be
bad.
just as fun.
Yeah, but I guess we should probably kind of move into Pro Bowl coaching news after that. There's only so much we can.
I don't care about the Pro Bowl. We're not going to talk about the Pro Bowl.
Well, the Andy Dalton thing, that was like the main one because Rodgers is hurt, Roethlisberger's hurt,
Peyton's hurt. Brady's not going.
Brady's going to the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson's going to the Super Bowl.
So really, anybody that people care about watching the Pro Bowl for quarterback wise,
you want to know the truth? You know what I think they should do? It goes against everything that the Pro Bowl has stood for, but that means nothing to me. Put Johnny Football in it.
Oh, absolutely not.
People
no.
I don't think he deserves it. I hate him, but people are going to watch it.
I guess
and that's all the Pro Bowl is. It's just a way for the NFL to get more money. No one cares. All these players are sitting out. Even LaShawn McCoy said, "Oh, my hamstring hurts. I'm not going." No one cares. The players don't even care.
For a purely viewing and money-making standpoint, absolutely put Johnny Manziel in there. But
people will watch the game.
They'll actually.
I'd watch it to watch him get just demolished by the other team.
That'd be actually pretty funny.
It'd be funny if it was one of his
J.J. Watt come around the corner and just blow him up. I'd watch that.
Yes, please.
You'd make me interested in the Pro Bowl for the first time in forever. That's why I think baseball does it right, because they're the only All-Star game that actually matters to anything.
Sam, people hate the fact that the baseball All-Star game matters, and then they make fun of the NFL for having an All-Star game that doesn't matter. So you can't.
The NFL one doesn't.
You really
the NHL one. Look at the NHL one. The top vote getter is a guy from the Sabres just because he has all of Latvia voting for him. Okay, so the NHL one's a joke. The NBA one, it's like 180 to 175. No one guards anyone. So that doesn't matter.
The only fun part about the NBA All-Star Games was like the dunk competition.
But now nobody's even in that anymore because no one cares.
Well, and to defend my sport, watching the NHL All-Star Game skills competition, the game itself, yes, it's pretty much a joke, but the All-Star skills competition,
I love skills.
Like 11-9.
I love skills competitions.
The skills competition for the NHL is awesome.
I love watching those things.
So is basketball.
Those are awesome.
You realize just how much skill these guys actually have as All-Stars. Plus, watching Zdeno Chara of the Boston Bruins just blow up the speedometer at 108 miles an hour slap shot. I'm sorry.
That's hard.
That's scary. Especially for me as a goaltender. I see that on the speedometer, I'm stepping out of the way.
All right, Goldberg, drop out of the way.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll send Goldberg in there in a heartbeat.
All right, well, football, coaching news, I guess that's kind of the other big thing.
Let's move into coaching. Again, if you guys have any comments on the championship games, feel free to call in, tweet, text, anything you want to get your opinion out there.
I mean, the Super Bowl's a pick-em, so pick one.
Yeah, it really is. The Super Bowl line is as even as it's ever been for a Super Bowl, so if you guys are putting money down, it's honestly just a pick-em game.
Pick it. Tell us what you picked, who you picked,
why your guys' picks. We'll get into that more next week. Because it'll actually be Super Bowl week.
If you want to call a player with a touchdown, you go for it. You can say, I mean, Brady threw to who was even the guy that caught his first touchdown? It was like
Devlin.
Yeah,
it was the fullback
Devlin.
James Devlin.
I mean, you call that? I'll buy you a drink. Seriously.
You called Sanu throwing a touchdown earlier this season.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was your highlight of the year.
That on my 5-game fantasy streak.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Oh.
Well, let's move into coaching news.
So,
there's plenty of movement going on. Let's not start with the stuff today, though. I'm going to start with the big news. First off, Harbaugh going to Michigan.
That's a doozy. That's a doozy.
I feel like I might be the only one out of, my group or this group of people here that actually called it. I mean, I was saying it from the beginning. He's going to go back to Michigan. He's going to go back to Michigan.
As soon as they were
as soon as Jed York came out and said that Balky and Harbaugh had issues, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the savior of Michigan. Watch. And then months later, he is. So
San Francisco just wants a yes man right now.
That's exactly what it is. I don't know if I texted you that or not. I can't remember, but San Francisco couldn't have botched this any more than they did. But we'll stay focused on Harbaugh at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal that Harbaugh's going back to college. Michigan is one of the greatest programs in sports history.
Historically,
Michigan
absolutely.
football.
Historically, yeah.
Yeah. Back to the days of Bo Schembechler and Lloyd Carr and all, Michigan has more history than anybody except maybe Notre Dame. Okay, and they're rivals anyway.
Let's be honest, Notre Dame. That's
and I hate Notre Dame.
That's a predominant school when it came back in the day.
And I'm a Notre Dame hater, but that again, we're not focusing on Notre Dame either. But Harbaugh going back to Michigan is great for Harbaugh because he's getting a ton of money to go back home and be absolutely adored as the savior of Michigan. Is he going to do it right away? Probably not, because the lifeblood of college football is recruiting. He needs to recruit his own guys.
Think of the recruiting that he's going to be able to do it the next couple of years right now.
Yep.
Oh, there's going to be a bunch of California kids are like, oh, I love San Francisco. Harbaugh, I'll go play for Harbaugh.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be
in Michigan.
Good,
they're going to go freeze their butts off in the cold in Michigan.
Yeah, but he immediately makes them relevant again.
Oh yeah,
they're immediately college football power again.
I'm definitely with you on that one.
It doesn't matter who they have on their roster right now. They are absolutely a college football power now that they have Jim Harbaugh.
With him on the sidelines, you will be afraid for your life if you don't play well under him.
Yeah.
He will put the fear of God into each one of those players to want to push themselves harder, which is going to be a detriment to his coaching, but also the fact that as a team, they're going to be wanting to play that much harder. So which then they'll start winning more games just by next year.
Yeah. They absolutely, and it couldn't have been worse with Brady Hoke. I mean, this year it was so bad. It really was.
The Ohio State shellacking kind of put the stamp on that.
Well, yeah, and I definitely do want to talk about college football in a minute, but we'll touch on coaching first and then move to college football. But I think that Harbaugh's move to Michigan is fantastic. I want to focus on San Francisco now just a little bit.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion and in the opinion of a lot of people, San Francisco could not have blown this up any worse than they did.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They screwed this up so bad. They had probably one of the top 5 coaches, college or pro, in Harbaugh.
Definitely.
Would you say he's top 5 overall?
Oh, I would not argue against it.
Meyer and Saban are the 2 from college.
He's arguably one of the better coaches. Absolutely. Arguably.
Yeah, he's at least top 5 in college now. He was top 5 when he was in it. So he's at least a top 10 coach in the entire world. He's a top 10 coach.
Yeah, in the entirety of
if not top 5, if not top 3.
In the entirety of the United States pro and college football, definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jim Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach. They run him out of town. They have a phenomenal defense.
Rumors of trading him.
Well,
early on in the year.
Even more than that, they don't even trade him. They just get rid of him. Which is even stupider. But they get rid of maybe the best coach in football.
Yep.
In Harbaugh. They get rid of maybe the best defensive coordinator in football, in Vic Fangio. They get rid of a top 10 offensive coordinator, in my opinion, in Greg Roman. It's not his fault, Kaepernick.
Oh, I didn't even know Roman left.
Roman's in Buffalo now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Oh,
Roman went to Buffalo to coach
He's with Rex Ryan.
which I'm going to touch on a lot later.
Oh, we're going to talk about that one.
No, that's next.
Well, the Niners.
That's next. But anyway, back to the Niners. The Niners can't screw this up any more than they did.
Nope.
They had 3 great coaches on their staff, got rid of all 3 of them, and hired their own defensive line coach as a head coach.
Wasn't Tomsula the guy that was
he
the head
coached
coach
one game when Singletary got
fired? I thought that.
And they won one game, and he coached in NFL Europe. And now as a defensive line coach. And they said, nope, well, we have one of the best rosters in football. We just had one down year because our quarterback forgot how to throw the football. Let's give a defensive line coach the reins of our entire program because he's a yes man to Balky. And that's what it is. Trent Baalke wanted a guy who's going to say yes, sir, to everything he wants.
Yep.
And Harbaugh wouldn't do it. That's why Harbaugh's gone. Fangio was tight with Harbaugh. Greg Roman has a backbone. So anybody that cares and anybody with a backbone and anybody that doesn't worship Trent Baalke is gone. And they hire a defensive line coach named Jim Tomsula. Okay? You blew this up more than you could have possibly imagined.
Was never coordinator, was coach of the last game of the season when Singletary got fired. And you know who they played?
Arizona.
Was the Arizona Cardinals, and they beat us that year.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest, the Cardinals were not that good that year.
They weren't good
that was what, 2009? 10?
I think it was 09.
Yeah, I think.
Wow. I think it was
ancient history at this point.
Yeah, that's the point. And that was one game he's coached. He's coached one game, and then he's never even been a coordinator. He coached one game because they got mad at Mike Singletary and fired him. And then he coached in Europe for a couple years, where these guys playing in Europe as the stars of Europe League can't even make it as a backup in the NFL.
It's so bad. God.
They got rid of NFL Europe and started giving 2 London games a year because 2 games of bad teams like the Jaguars is more entertaining than an entire year of NFL Europe.
Yep.
So that tells you how bad NFL Europe was.
Although I feel good about
he wasn't
the
even
NFC
that good
West
in
now.
NFL Europe. He wasn't even like this NFL Europe god or anything. He's not even that good then.
No.
So who's going to be the
Jim
the big team?
Tomsula is a yes man.
Yep.
To Trent Baalke. And that's why he gets hired.
So who's going to be the big team next year in the Bay Area, Oakland or San Francisco? Because you have Jack Del Rio now with the Raiders.
Yeah, and I saw that coming a mile away. I said he should have gone to San Fran, but I didn't think he was going to because I knew San Fran would screw this up somehow. Del Rio's a Southern Cal guy, played at USC, was a star linebacker at USC. Oakland actually has a pretty good defense. I love Khalil Mack. So I don't know. I mean,
Oakland is like a star wide receiver away from being decently relevant.
And that's who they're taking.
That's the funny part.
They have the 4th overall pick this year.
Especially
and
after
Amari Cooper is on the board.
Especially with this whole Broncos thing with, John Fox getting canned and Peyton maybe not coming back.
Where's he going to go, though? Where is Peyton going then?
He's retired.
No, the talk is retiring.
The talk would be he'd be retiring.
All right, I guess we'll touch on that now.
We're gonna have to bounce around, Braden.
Apparently,
we're gonna go from
don't plan anything out. All right, so
sorry, man.
No, we're fine.
We'll get to it all
with Denver. All right, let's just touch on Denver. I do think San Fran will still be better than Oakland. Just to close the book on that, it doesn't matter who coaches San Fran. I could coach San Fran, and they're still gonna be better than Oakland. But. And a story
Give
on
Oakland a couple of years.
Yeah, Oakland needs a year. Yeah. But anyway, with John Fox leaving Denver and them hiring Gary Kubiak, which I actually think is a pretty good fit.
Yeah, no, I think
Gary Kubiak.
That makes sense because he knows.
I like Gary Kubiak. He was Elway's backup when they were both players.
And then was the coordinator.
He's now second in charge.
Was the coordinator for Elway when they won those Super Bowls at the very end of his career.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wow. There's some history there.
Yeah.
By the way.
No, Kubiak absolutely has history with Elway. They're best friends, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I think Adam Gase will stay on as the OC there. It makes sense to hire Kubiak, and I mean, I understand firing John Fox. I wouldn't have. I like John Fox, but it's not the worst move. I think Kubiak is a good fit. He's obviously a Denver guy. He said he wouldn't leave Baltimore as the OC unless it was for Denver. That's the only team he would have left him for, because he grew up in Denver. He played in Denver. That's where his kids grew up. Everything. He's a Denver guy. So that's the one place he would have gone. I think it's a good fit. And I just want to say this. I'm going to be heartbroken if Peyton Manning calls it quits. I really am.
Especially the way his career has gone.
Yeah,
down as
well. And people are going to remember the way he lost last year against Seattle and the way they performed this year against the Colts. And they're just going to hold his playoff record against him. It breaks my heart because I love Peyton Manning. I have for 15 years. I think he's one of the very few athletes in the world that still have class, still do things the right way.
Yeah.
And people know him. He's a trademark name. He's a household name. People know who the Manning is.
And it's not even just that. He does it the right way. And the NFL is much worse off when Peyton Manning leaves. It is. And, you look at Denver. Even if you're saying, maybe he's not the Peyton Manning anymore. Maybe he's not that $21.5 million cap hit he would be next year if he comes back. Maybe he's not worth that. He would be the 4th overall cap hit at the moment. He's the 4th highest behind Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, and Tony Romo. But Romo's the highest at $27.8 million.
Holy crap! But anyways, that's not our point right now.
There's stats right there. 24 from Brees, 23 from Fitzgerald, and 21 from Manning. You know, they have some guys up. Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas. I think they'll resign them both, but. If you think Denver's better off with Peyton Manning gone, you're insane. Who is there?
Brock Osweiler. That's it.
You're going to turn it over to Brett. This isn't Brett Favre turning the reins over to Aaron Rodgers. You know, maybe.
Yeah, no. Brock Osweiler. As much as I was kind of advocating him to get drafted because I did watch ASU a bit that year, he only started that one. He started the one season at ASU,
and he wasn't even good at ASU.
ASU's offense definitely padded his stats.
And yes, it helps that he is he is all of 6'8", 240. He's a big boy.
He's a bigger Taylor Kelly. And Taylor Kelly's a joke. So I'll say that right now. I have a friend who knows Taylor Kelly personally. I'll say it to Taylor's face if I see him again. I've actually met him. He's terrible. Okay? Brock Osweiler is Taylor Kelly, only bigger. Yeah. Denver is not better off if Peyton Manning leaves. They need him to come back. If they want to stay relevant, they need him back. And whether he's the best quarterback in football, whether he's 55 touchdowns again or not.
Probably not.
No, I don't think he will be either. No. Even if he just does this year. What he did this year statistically is better than anyone else out there available.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
The only guys that are better than him are the guys that will never leave. The Andrew Lucks, the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady, the Drew Brees.
In our lifetime,
these are the only guys better. I mean, Peyton Manning is still a top 10 quarterback.
Definitely.
There's nobody better out there.
Any team that has
even if you just get one more year out of him, you need Peyton Manning to come back.
They were moving more towards a balanced attack anyway. C.J. Anderson.
They have 3 good running backs now. C.J. Anderson, Ronnie Hillman, and Monty Ball next year. They have 3, and all 3 of them, I think, are under contract.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've got a good running game. And if you can get even just one...
Sanders will be back, for sure.
If you can get even one of the Thomases back.
Yeah, I think they get them both back, honestly.
Yeah, I mean...
Because they came out and said that they're going to franchise Demaryius if they don't
Demaryius said he would take a hometown discount. But,
and so did Julius.
I'm saying even if they only somehow get one of them back, they're still better off. Mm-hmm. So,
there's still a top 4 team in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean...
Any team that loses a caliber player like Peyton Manning will suffer. It's going to happen.
Look at Indy when they lost them.
Indy suffered miserably when they lost
Curtis Painter.
Yeah. Ooh. And those are the kind of guys you're going to be stuck with. Look, I'm a Bills fan. We have no quarterback. I know who's out there.
There's the Genos, the EJs.
I know who's out there, and there's nobody.
The Vicks.
The best guy out there is Mark Sanchez. He's the best available option for a team right now.
And do you really want the Sanchez running?
If I'm Buffalo,
Denver?
I do.
Hey, if he's the best available guy for temporary, if you're putting a Band-Aid on something, sure. Yeah. Keyword sure. Not yes, but sure.
But that's not the point.
Denver would need a really big Band-Aid.
The point is Denver's better off with Peyton Manning. I genuinely hope that he comes back, and I think it's a shame if he leaves.
As sports fans, period, want to see Peyton come back.
It breaks my heart if he leaves.
Yeah, I think he should.
If he was, let's say he loses again next year in the AFC semifinal game, as long as it's a better game,
they're still getting to the playoffs. They're still getting to the playoffs.
They're
still probably winning a division. Yeah,
he'll be 40.
Yeah,
he's 39 at the moment.
Next year, but it's at least like 24-27. Okay, I can live with that.
They're more relevant with him than without him. End of story. That's all that matters.
That's definitely true.
Let's just run through the other coaching changes quickly, and then we'll focus on Buffalo because I want to talk about that.
We were talking about the Niners. Vic Fangio, he's going to Chicago to be the defensive coordinator
for John Fox,
underneath John Fox in Chicago.
Yeah.
Redskins grabbed Joe Barry as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
no one cares about that. Jack Del Rio grabs Bill Musgrave over as the offensive coordinator for the Raiders.
I like the fit with Del Rio, by the way. We touched on
I know, Del Rio.
That's a good one.
Like we said, Oakland needs a year, but I think they could definitely, I think in a couple of years, at least a wild card.
And more than anything, that's the team. That's that's the type of guy that team needs.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Oakland, their first win of the year. They have guys celebrating in the backfield on 4th down when they almost blow it. You know, you can't have young guys making mistakes like that. Jack Del Rio is about as no nonsense as a coach gets.
Sounds good to me.
That guy is terrifying. I am scared. I will say this right now. I'm not scared of very many people in this world. I am scared of Jack Del Rio. You don't cross Jack Del Rio.
No, you don't. So
Jack Del Rio was an All-American linebacker at USC, played on a wrestling team there, and bench pressed 450 pounds. The guy is a monster, okay?
The guy
you
will
don't
eat you
cross Jack Del Rio.
The guy will eat you for breakfast with a smile on his face.
Jack Del Rio is scary, and Oakland needs that.
like we said, give Oakland a couple of years, and in a couple of years,
They have a quarterback.
There's no way Peyton is still there in Denver in a couple of years.
I don't.
So
I hope he comes back this year.
I'm
but
talking
if he
about
does,
not
that'll
this
be
next
it.
season.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the season
year
after.
That. That's when Oakland will be ready.
Yeah,
anyway.
Oakland will be ready to go, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Oakland in the playoffs in a couple of years. And I mean,
they'll be in the hunt.
I mean, yeah, that wild card at least. But moving on, touching on your Buffalo.
I want to touch on. I want to talk about Marone
Doug
a little
Marone.
bit. Doug Marone. I'm going to say this right now. One, I hate Doug Marone. As a Bills fan, I think most people agree with me. Doug Marone is an idiot. Doug Marone is a jackass. Doug Marone has way too much of an ego for his very limited resume. And Doug Marone quit the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. Head coaching in the NFL.
And
which he didn't even, hold on. He didn't even deserve that job, first off. He didn't even deserve it. He only got it because he coached at Syracuse and Buffalo wanted a guy that said, oh, look, community of Buffalo, he's one of us. So we went out and got Doug Marone because that's what Buffalo does all the time. They do that with everything, with every sport. Okay, he wasn't. And
he really wasn't.
And then he almost drafted Ryan Nassib, which is the only way it could have been worse than drafting E.J. Manuel. But Doug Marone was a joke in Buffalo. He's terrible. He deserves no credit for what that team did the last 2 years. 2 years ago, it goes to Mike Pettin. Last year, it goes to Jim Schwartz. Okay? That's why Buffalo's been relevant
Buffalo's
lately.
defense was amazing.
Not Doug Marone.
That defense.
Doug Marone is an offensive line coach, and Buffalo's biggest weakness was offensive line.
Yeah.
He couldn't even coach his own team in the one area he's supposed to be good at. And he quits Buffalo because he thinks he can have a better job opportunity somewhere else.
And now he's the
assistant head offensive line coach for the Jaguars. A 3-win team that hasn't been relevant in its history.
And like I told you, either way, he still doesn't have a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's still getting, the Bills are still paying him $4 million to not be their coach.
It was in his contract because of the ownership.
And allegedly it was because he was really, really angry that they traded up to draft Sammy Watkins.
There's more than that, but
that was one of the things
that
came out.
One thing I want to say on that is congrats to the Buffalo media, because that shows you right there how the media can destroy a guy's career.
Oh, yeah.
Doug Marone went from, the Jets are interviewing him. Oh, is he going to leave from Buffalo to the Jets? Is he going to go to Denver? Is he going to go to Chicago?
Maybe he'll go to Atlanta.
Everybody's like, oh my God, Doug Marone. We got to go get Doug Marone. Let's look at Doug Marone. Then 5-6 stories come out later about how terrible Doug Marone is, and now he's coaching the offensive line of the Jaguars.
Whoops.
Way to go, Doug Marone. Way to leave Buffalo. You're a joke. You've always been a joke. I wish you nothing but failure in Jacksonville, and I'm glad you're gone. We're better off.
And let's just say, because he's in Jacksonville, that failure's probably going to happen.
It's Jacksonville.
It's
inevitable.
It definitely.
You have Blake Bortles as your franchise player.
Oof.
Their star running back is Toby Gerhardt.
And
the thing, Jacksonville's a pretty nice city.
Denard Robinson, who's a former quarterback that they decided to make a running back because they saw he couldn't catch, so they couldn't transition him to wide receiver. And that's their best player.
I was wondering why he wasn't a wide receiver.
They tried to make him a receiver, and he couldn't catch.
Put him on the defensive side of the ball. Remember, defensive backs, they're defensive backs because they can't catch.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Except for Richard Sherman, who has a freaking dislocated, hyperextended elbow, and he's still picking off Aaron
And he says he's going to play anyways.
He's going to.
He's going to try.
We mentioned Chicago earlier because Kubiak left for Denver. Mark Trestman is now the Ravens offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I don't think it's a bad move, honestly.
No, I don't. Not necessarily.
And here's the thing. Flacco is basically Eli Manning. I'm going to say this right now. Flacco and Eli Manning are basically the same player because they're irrelevant in the regular season, but as soon as it becomes playoffs, they become a god. Okay,
and
Joe Flacco in the playoffs is unbelievable, and I don't understand it because he's no good in the regular season.
It definitely helps that Baltimore's got a pretty decent running game now.
Yeah, with Forsett, but he's a free agent.
Yeah. So, yeah, we talked about Fangio went over to the Bears.
I mean, here we go.
And now,
touch on Buffalo.
Now Braden's going to get on his soapbox after ripping Marone.
I hate Marone. So
let's
and that fuels why I'm so happy about this. I hate Doug Marone.
The stage is yours, Braden.
What's your opinion on Doug Marone?
I hate Doug Marone. I've always hated Marone. And we got the perfect replacement in Rex Ryan. I love Rex Ryan. I think he's a phenomenal head football coach. He knows how to coach defense, and Buffalo has one hell of a defense. And best of all, his only problem is he can't coach a quarterback. Who cares? Buffalo doesn't have one anyway. So that's how I feel about that. He brings a great coaching staff with him, including Greg Roman as the new offensive coordinator in Buffalo, who's probably the best offensive coordinator Buffalo's ever had. I'll say that right now.
Who do they have for defensive coordinator?
They brought the guy from the Jets with Rex.
Okay. And that
Thurman,
was
Dennis Thurman.
Oh, okay.
So they bring him
That's right,
from the Jets with him. Yeah, because Shorts didn't want to run a 3-4. So they got rid of Shorts because he didn't want to run a 3-4, and he wanted the head coaching job, and they didn't give it to him. So he got angry. But so he basically Ray Hortoned.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
It's about right.
But Rex Ryan is the perfect fit in Buffalo. He's tough. He's no nonsense. He's all about the people.
He's really good with the defense, and Buffalo's got a great defense.
Yeah, he knows how to coach defense. Buffalo fits as a 3-4 better than a 4-3 anyway, because people forgot about a guy named Kiko Alonso because he was out all year with an injury. Kiko Alonso's amazing. Now you're going to have him in the middle. If you bring back Brandon Spikes, who's a free agent, but I think they'll bring him back because he loved playing in Buffalo. Then you got two solid middle linebackers. You have Bradham on the outside. You have Jerry Hughes, who you can bring back. He's a free agent, too, but you can bring Jerry Hughes back, put him back as a linebacker, pass rusher, in a 3-4.
Super Mario.
You have Mario, you have Kyle Williams, and you have Marcel Darius. And then you have the solid secondary and Leotis McKelvin, Stephon Gilmore, Corey Graham, and then Searcy and Williams as your safeties. That's a scary defense. And that's a better defense than Rex ever had in New York. And he made them top 5 every year.
That's definitely...
He took that joke of a Jets team and made them into a top 5 defense.
That's definitely better than the defense we had in Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, even before all the injuries.
I agree. Buffalo is perfect with Rex Ryan. It's a perfect fit. He's a people's guy, and that's what Buffalo needs. You know, that city, honestly, it's a miserable place. We'll have people calling in about this because I know a lot of my family from Buffalo is still listening. It's a miserable place. So you're not going to hire a guy that doesn't come in and get the respect of the people. You know, if Buffalo doesn't love you, you're gone immediately. Okay?
And Braden, you know this. Buffalo is a sports town.
Oh, yeah.
They rely on their sports. You have the Sabres who have been struggling.
Yeah, well, they've struggled forever.
And then the Bills, obviously, they're woes. So, yeah, a guy like Rex Ryan, I can just rejuvenate a city like that.
And hype him up. Give him something to believe in. Nobody believed in Doug Marone. I mean, Bills fans listening, call me and tell me I'm wrong. Did you believe in Doug Marone? Was he your guy? No. Doug Marone sucks. I hate Doug Marone. They're so much better off with Rex Ryan. I can't even begin to explain it. And the only reason he's gone in New York is because they had so much pressure to get rid of him because he succeeded so much early on, and then they tailed off. So it was time for him to go. Okay? The first 3-4 years with Rex Ryan in New York, Buffalo would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo hasn't made the playoffs since I was in preschool. The last time Buffalo was in the playoffs, I was in preschool. He took him to AFC championship games back-to-back with Sanchez.
Butt fumble himself.
Who actually might be going to Buffalo now that Rex is there.
Oh, hold on here.
That's a rumor.
Where is Buffalo going to be in the draft?
Buffalo doesn't have a first-round pick.
They traded it for Sammy
Watkins.
That's right, they did.
Part of why Doug Marrone was so pissed off.
They can't draft a quarterback this year. There's nobody. There's 2 quarterbacks in the entire draft, and they're both going to be gone in the top 10.
Arguably the top 5.
Yeah, arguably the top 2. I think they'll go 1 and 2. I'd be surprised if they didn't. But
I wouldn't be as surprised if they didn't. But anyways,
because of the way Mariota performed in the playoffs. Now that I've talked on Rex Ryan a little bit, we'll touch on college football after this. But I want to hear from somebody, at least somebody from Buffalo, on how you feel about Rex Ryan. Him being the hiring for the Bills. I couldn't be happier about it. I love the move. I think it's a perfect fit for Buffalo. He fits the community. He fits the roster. He fits the mindset. He's going to a tough working class city, bringing that attitude with him to a tough, hard-nosed defensive team. It's perfect. And then he brings an offensive guru like Greg Roman, who I don't blame for Colin Kaepernick forgetting how to play quarterback. He's better than
Kaepernick's
EJ
not that good.
Yeah, Kaepernick's not that
He really
good.
isn't.
But
there's a reason he was in the second round.
I agree
There's
with
a reason
that.
why Alex
There's a
Smith
reason
was
he went to
starting over
Nevada.
Kaepernick.
Okay, there's a reason he played for Nevada instead of Washington or USC.
Why? Good for Alex Smith to get the heck out of Dodge and go to Kansas City. That's best career change.
And then not throw a touchdown to a wide receiver all season.
And he still does well.
Yeah, they didn't make the
playoffs.
So. That's because they didn't have a wide receiver to throw a touchdown to.
Yeah, and I bet you anything Dwayne Bowe gets cut this offseason.
Over the Dwayne Bowe.
Somewhere over the Dwayne Bowe.
Yeah, anyways.
But I want to hear from somebody from Buffalo, whether they still live in Buffalo or they've moved out of Buffalo but still support the team as I do. I think it's a perfect fit. It really makes me happy. It's been a really long time since the Bills have had something to be excited about, and I mean a really long time. Look back at the recent coaches in Buffalo. Who's a guy that really made you feel good? You can go back to Wade Phillips, Mike Mularkey, Dick Geron, Chan Gailey, Doug Marrone. Who are these people? Greg Williams. These guys are terrible. They're all jokes. And now you bring in a guy with a resume of AFC championships. He automatically gets the media on his side. He's already got people hyped up. He knows how to coach a defense probably better than any coach in the world. I think he's probably the best defensive guru. We hear about these quarterback whisperers and the guys that save everything. Nobody, and I mean nobody, could do better at coaching a defense than Rex Ryan. Mm-hmm. But
I definitely would agree with you.
I think it's a perfect fit. Again, if you're from Buffalo and you have anything to say about that, call in. The number's 928-523-4554. I'll say it again. It's 928-523-4554. If you have anything to say about Rex Ryan, anything to say about Doug Marrone, I was very harsh on Doug Marrone, but I'm not a fan of Doug Marrone. I think Rex Ryan is a perfect fit. I really do. I think he's perfect for Buffalo, and it makes me really happy to see. So finally the Bills have something to be excited about. They have everything in place except for an offensive line and a quarterback. In my opinion, they need to build the offensive line in the draft and figure out the quarterback later. So that's my opinion.
If you've got a decent offensive line, you just hand the ball off and let the running backs do the work.
And they're
built like
they
tanks.
have
Let the
Fred
guys
Jackson,
do their job.
They have Fred Jackson, Bryce Brown, and Boobie Dixon, who are all better than their quarterback.
What about Spiller?
Spiller's a free agent.
Oh, hey, we got a phone call.
Well, there we go. As I was calling for. Thank you for calling in to KJAC Radio 1680 AM here in Flagstaff, Arizona. Who's calling and what is your comment?
Well, I'm Sue, and I'm calling from Florida.
Hi, Sue. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in Florida, but I'm a Bills fan. And when you want to know how we feel about it, we are delighted.
Yeah.
We are so excited. Oh, my God. It's the top of the town.
Yep.
We are celebrating finally.
Yeah.
Finally, we've got a coach that's gonna represent us. He's a fighter.
Absolutely.
He's a blue-collar person.
Exactly.
As long as he doesn't pull his dad and immediately proclaim, "You've got a winner in town," he should be all right.
They do. They do have a winner in town. Thank you, Sue, for your call. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you for calling in.
Okay, bye.
Bye. That basically backs me up. They do have a winner in Buffalo. They do. Look at that defense. They beat Green Bay. Okay, yeah, they lost to Oakland, but they beat Green Bay. They have a good team in Buffalo. They don't have a quarterback, but that's it. If that team had a quarterback, they'd be a top 10 team easily in football.
Think they could battle Brady for the top spot in the East, or do you think?
Yes, if they had a quarterback, yes.
Yeah,
they beat them this year.
Yes, they did. And early on in the season, we're like, is Tom Brady done in New England after they sucked the first 3
They go 2-2.
Because everybody in the world overreacts about sports. But
really
again,
do.
you know, what Sue said backs me up.
Thank you, Sue.
Everybody, yeah, thanks,
Sue of Florida.
I appreciate it. She backs up everything I'm saying. He's the perfect guy for Buffalo. And more than anything, he fits that division perfectly. He's been coaching there this whole time. I know, I've seen that. Philly's targeting Marietta. I know that. Anyway,
so random.
It fits perfectly. More than anything, I'll say this right now. It's over the top sometimes. I think it's stupid. When I would go to Bills games with my grandmother, I didn't understand it. I thought it was stupid. It couldn't have made me more upset, and it actually turned me into a Tom Brady fan because of how much Buffalo hates the Patriots. And I mean hates. I mean, I hear death threats of Tom Brady every time I go to Ralph Wilson Stadium. They hate New England. And who's the best guy in the world to bring in to piss off New England? Rex Ryan. It's perfect. Here we go. Another caller. Thank you for calling into KJAC Radio 1680 AM here in Flagstaff, Arizona. Who's calling and what's your comment?
Oh, this is Sue again from Florida. I forgot to say one thing.
Hi, Sue.
This is very important.
Okay.
You know one of the reasons that Rex Ryan stayed? Because he wants to beat Belichick.
Yeah.
He
Definitely.
doesn't
Very
like
true.
Belichick. And that's just, it's just something that really excites us.
Yep.
That's what we want. Okay, goodbye.
Exactly. Thank you, Sue. That's exactly my point. He's the perfect guy for Buffalo. Buffalo has this unbelievable hatred for New England. It's so over the top that it actually made me pull for Tom Brady once in a while. Okay. All right. They hate them. And Rex Ryan is perfect for that. He's the perfect guy for Buffalo. I couldn't be happier about this. I've been a Bills fan for 20 years. I've never been excited about the Buffalo Bills. Okay? Never. Ever. I've never been excited. I'm finally excited about the Buffalo Bills. I can't wait to cheer for that team next year. Rex Ryan is the perfect guy for Buffalo.
Give it to Sue of Florida to back up Braden, Carmen, and Flagstaff.
Absolutely.
Leave it to Sue.
Well, Sue's vacationing in Florida at the moment. But anyway. Thank you. I appreciate your call. And more than anything, thanks for backing me up on that. I went very strong with my opinion.
I wasn't going to argue against you.
You know, I know the pulse of, I'm from there. I mean, I have family still living there.
That's why you rely on me for the Arizona news.
Yeah.
I rely on you for the Buffalo news. There you go.
It's the perfect fit. Rex Ryan couldn't be better for Buffalo. Well, we're going to take our first break of the show. We'll come back, talk about the College Football National Championship and the playoff. Some guys that declared for the draft. Your opinions on that? We'll focus on that a little more once the combine starts, but just some early indications on where guys are going. Again, if you guys have any comments about either championship game or the coaching changes in the NFL so far, feel free to call in just like Sue did, 928-523-4554. Again, that's 928-523-4554.
Like if you're an Atlanta fan and are still pissed you don't have a coach.
We all know who their coach is going to be. It's Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
That's why they don't have a coach, is because Dan Quinn can't be hired yet.
Yeah. He's kind of in the middle of planning for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
A little something more important.
If you're an Arizona fan, you know, if you're an Arizona resident and you're excited about the Super Bowl coming, you want to give an early prediction, feel free. We're going to focus on that a lot more next week. But feel free if you guys want to call in with that. Again, we're going to take our first break, and we will be right back after the break. This is KJAC Radio 1680 AM here in Flagstaff, Arizona. This is still Fantasy Inside Access. That's Anthony Caruso. That's Tanner Duke. My name is Braden Carmen, and we will be right back after this, so don't go anywhere. What's up, everybody? You're still listening to KJack Radio 1680 AM here in Flagstaff, Arizona. This is Fantasy Inside Access with Anthony Caruso, Tanner Duke, and myself, Braden Carmen. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this is a very interactive show, so if you guys have anything you want to say throughout the show, feel free to call in at 928-523-4554. Once again, that's 928-523-4554. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. The show has a Facebook page on facebook.com/Fantasy Inside Access, Axecess. Tanner's on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. Caruso, are you on Twitter?
I do not have Twitter.
Okay, Caruso's not on Twitter.
I make a point of actually not having
Way
Twitter.
to go, Caruso. Well, you're a college athlete, so I guess that makes sense.
Well,
Anyway,
Yeah.
so we're going to transition from the NFL to college just for a little bit. Again, you guys can call in if you have anything to say about the NFL. I have no problem with going back to that. But I just want to touch a little bit on the college football playoffs. What a system it was. I think it's so great, this playoff system. Yeah, people are going to say they should have made it 8 teams. I disagree. I think it's perfect the way it is right now. They couldn't have picked a better 4 teams, maybe TCU, because TCU played great.
Oh, TCU made a point.
TCU is the only team that really got left out because Baylor didn't. I mean, Baylor choked against Michigan State in the Cotton Bowl.
Well,
so,
yeah, of course.
But this playoff system, I'm going to touch on that before I even touch on the games. I think the playoff system is perfect. I think it was so well done. I'm a little worried that they're kind of changing half of the committee next year. I mean, Oliver Luck is gone and Archie Manning's gone. A couple other guys are gone, so that worries me a little bit. It's going to be a little different people. But the committee this year did such a great job with selecting the playoff teams.
Well, especially with the fact that they don't just take record into consideration. They took a point of saying, all right, what was the wins? How were the wins?
Strength of schedule
Strength of schedule. They legitimately took things that mattered and made it part of the curriculum of why this team was better than this team or why this team deserves to be better than this team. That's why TCU, as good as they were, got left out. Their strength of schedule just wasn't as good as the Ohio States, the Oregons. I mean, it's gonna just make the playoff next year that much bigger.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I really do. I think all 3 matchups, what it turned out to be, all 3 matchups were great. I think that, maybe the third quarter of the Florida State and Ohio and the Florida State and Oregon game kind of threw people's opinions on it a little bit.
Well,
but it was one bad quarter in 3 games.
Yeah, it really was. It was one bad quarter.
There was one bad quarter in 3 games. So, I'll chalk that up as a win for the committee. I think it was well done. I really do. I like the way it was set up. And, let's just start with that. What did you think, Caruso?
It worked because, one, it was fresh. So people were like, okay, this is different. It's not the BCS committee, and it's not run by a computer. It's run by people who say why certain things matter. However, I will disagree with you on the fact it should be an 8-team playoff, only because, one, to get more exciting football. Yeah. Every game becomes even more important at the very beginning of the year as well, as it wasn't already before.
But that's why I think it should be stayed at 4.
It's so. I was watching ESPN a while ago during the committee was deciding which teams to go, and they made a good point on Around the Horn. How 8 teams to be better because then it's the top 8 of the top 10 instead of the top 4 of the top 5. Yeah. It's so tight when it's those top 5 teams. When you get the 8 teams, okay.
Especially because there's 5 power conferences and they only take 4 teams.
Yeah,
so
that's what makes it that much harder. So,
one team is going to be left out every year. I understand that. But
so, yeah, that's what I mean. Because then you can have the possibility of a number 8 seed. All of a sudden, they beat the number 1 seed. All of a sudden, whoa, that would have never have happened last year. Now this year, it's something crazy and fresh. It's a big upset. Or it could be played out exactly how it was supposed to, where 1 beats the 8. And it's like, okay, that was expected. Move on to the next round.
Yeah.
It is going to be so fun to watch next year to see how crazy it's going to get.
That we do agree on. It's going to be so much fun to watch.
It's going to be
I might actually pay attention.
Yeah, you might actually watch. I'll watch the Combine.
I'll watch the bowl games. That's probably all I'll watch, but I'll probably watch some of the bowl games if I get a chance.
No,
I don't know. The thing is, because you're talking about how, if you want to go to 8 teams, there's 5 conferences. Best team from each conference, and then after that, it's basically just three wild cards. You know,
pretty much. Yeah, just like any other sport.
I mean, it'd be as if the NFL just took the division winners and that was it. It's the same kind of concept. I mean,
but and I wouldn't have as much of a problem with that. I honestly,
I think 8 teams is probably the sweet spot. 4 seems like it's probably
don't go
too
anything
small.
more.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't make it like if you go to 8, so be it. But if you go bigger than 8, then it becomes March Madness, and that's the biggest joke in sports.
Yeah, no, don't go bigger.
College
than
basketball regular season matters less than any sports regular season ever.
Until
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everyone gets in. If you're over 500 in a good conference, you get in.
Yeah.
Then you just have to get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
That's all.
The hottest teams win.
It's stupid.
8's kind of like that sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I would rather see it stay at 4 just because of something Caruso touched on where it puts more emphasis on the regular season. Now, I think if it stays at 4, every team says, we can't lose.
Yeah.
We can't lose.
And it makes it that much harder. Especially, and you can't put that kind of pressure on a 19-year-old athlete who's just learning what pressure means at the college football level. That's a lot to take for a second-year college student.
That's sports.
True.
That's what you want.
True. But what's going to be...
How are these going to get ready for the NFL?
But that's what I mean, though. What's going to be considered harder? A playoff game or the midterm that should be studying on to graduate? That's the big issue.
Yeah,
now, having said
I
all
agree with that. But...
How great was the inaugural Bahamas Bowl?
There was a Bahamas Bowl?
There was a Bahamas.
It was
Is that the one where they had
Central
the
Michigan,
Hail Mary? Yeah.
Central Michigan.
Oh my God, that was the greatest game of all time.
It was so bad at the very beginning. It was 49-14 at halfway through the third quarter.
And the other team came back.
Central Michigan came back and tied it with 30.
No, they were 1 point down. They had a touchdown
they were down
as
by 1.
time expired. They were down 7, and they had 2 seconds left
They were
on their own
20
with 2 seconds left. They throw a pass over the middle, do 4 backwards laterals, and score a touchdown on it.
Music City Miracle.
It made that look like nothing. This was incredible. And then they said, we're not going to take it. We're going to go for the win. And they missed the 2-point conversion and lose the game.
Fingernail. That's how close he was to winning that game.
Oh, my God. That game was insane.
I remember seeing in my parents in Texas Roadhouse watching that game. It's like, that is a blow. I could imagine maybe if these guys come back, how funny that would be. We go back home to wrap gifts. I decided to turn on the boob tube to see what's going on. There's the Central Michigan game. Wait. They came back? What? Are you serious?
And the final play with those laterals was the greatest thing ever.
That is going to be the highlights.
That was
I have a roommate that pitched for Central Michigan.
The next 5 years, that's going to be on every highlight reel. When bowl games come up next year. Hey, is the Bahamas Bowl going to be as exciting as it was last year?
Yeah, and
way.
And they said that this playoff system was going to take away from the bowls. No. Okay.
That was
look at the ratings of the bowls. First off, it's still just as high as they ever were.
Bowl game of the bowl game season. That was the first one, and look at where it started off. Let's just kick off the bowl madness like that.
That game was incredible.
I'll
say that
awesome
right now.
Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl.
Well,
and then TCU's just shellacking.
TCU just beat the snot out of it. Who did they play in the?
I don't even remember.
Because they didn't they didn't even score. It was 42-3.
Wow.
Wasn't it 42-3?
That's painful.
And TCU was the team that got left out. TCU was 5th in the 4-team playoff. TCU was 5th.
That hurts.
Yeah. TCU is the only team that worries me a little bit. If you're going to make a case for anybody, I'd say TCU. I was supporting Baylor because I'm like TCU and Baylor played and Baylor won. Okay. I thought Baylor deserved to be ahead of TCU because they beat them head to head. But
I just pulled up the score. It was 42-3. Guess who that team was? They were. I'll give you a hint. They were an SEC team.
Oh yeah.
Wait, this was who TCU was shellacking?
Wasn't it Auburn? No, Auburn played Wisconsin.
You give up?
I give up. Just tell us.
The University of Mississippi.
Oh yeah, it was Ole Miss. I remember I was watching that, and
because they were number 2 at one point in the season.
Yeah, everybody was saying, "Who knows Bo?" The Bo Wallace, the quarterback, and he just played terrible.
And TCU put up 14 points in the first 3 quarters and decided to take the fourth quarter off, and they only gave up 3.
Yeah,
it was
42-0 at the end of the third quarter, and then I turned it off. I was like, I'm done.
Can you believe people thought Cardale Jones was actually going to declare for the draft?
I thought he should have. Well, we'll touch on. I mean, I want to touch on Ohio State a lot.
That was just something random.
Let's start. Yeah, we'll touch on Ohio State in a minute. I wanted to
All I
start
know
with
about Ohio State is Cardale Jones.
Just for a side note, the Bahamas Bowl. It was Central Michigan and Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oof.
Western Kentucky ended up winning, but
because Central Michigan went for
because
two.
they went for two. I'm like, why don't you go to overtime?
Just go to overtime.
Give the coach credit. He had the momentum on his side, and he heard it on the side. He goes, you know what?
Let's go
Why
for
not?
the win.
If we pull
it's like
off
we're in the Bahamas Bowl. What do we have to lose?
If we pull off a 2-point conversion and win, the playoff won't even matter at that point.
Yeah. Wasn't it the Little Caesars Bahamas Bowl or something like that?
It was hang on, I got it right here.
It was something like food related.
It was at least something like that. I'm looking for it right
I don't
now.
know. There's like the KFC Bowl.
Yeah,
The
no.
Popeyes.
The
Popeye. There we go.
Now
Popeyes.
Popeyes. Bahamas Bowl.
I knew it was something food related.
Oh,
anyway,
God.
let's get to the games that actually
Anyways.
matter. We'll move on to the games that actually matter.
So bad at staying on track. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, well, there's so much to talk about. I mean, we've been off for so long, and so much have happened.
That's true.
I want to touch on the three biggest college football games first, and let's start with the Rose Bowl with Florida State and Oregon. That game got out of hand really quickly. Florida State had probably the worst third quarter I've ever seen. And then people were all ripping on Jameis.
Culminating with Jameis Winston looking like he was slipping on a banana peel.
Did you watch the play?
Oh.
I saw. Did
you watch the play? But did you actually watch the play from the snap?
I didn't see the actual.
So did you watch the play from the snap?
I was laughing so hard when the whole play was. It was like a mixture of the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers wrapped into one, and then Jameis Winston throwing it looked like Bugs Bunny.
Honestly,
it was nasty. It was nasty.
I want to defend Jameis for that play.
Oh yeah.
I watched the entire game from start to end, and I watched Florida State all year and everything. As much as I mock Jameis for his his post game interviews, if we gonna do it, we gonna do it then, and all his wonderful quotes. If I strong and you strong, then we strong then. Like, he has the worst quotes of all time. He really does. He should never speak in front of people ever.
He's like the anti-Larry.
He should never ever speak.
Hold on. Is it better than Marshawn Lynch's quotes, though?
No, Jameis Winston sounds like he has problems when he speaks. Like, he should not be allowed to speak. But that's beside the point.
Spilling wings.
Yeah. I'm that's Demarius. But I'm going to move on from that. Jameis Winston does not deserve all the flack that he got for that game, for that play, or for this season. On that play, after his freshman running back, has already fumbled twice in the quarter, and they're desperately trying to come back on a fourth down where Jameis Winston had no blocking, had to scramble out to survive, basically, on the play.
He was just fighting every inch and tooth and nail.
He's doing everything he can just to make something happen because he's getting no help whatsoever. His star receiver has already dropped 3 passes. His star freshman running back has fumbled twice in the quarter, and his blocking has collapsed. He has no help, and he's just trying to make a play, and it slips out of his hands, and it's returned for a touchdown, and then everybody blames Jameis for it.
It was definitely
Jameis Winston had 2 turnovers in the game.
At least for his sake, it wasn't not top 10 for 4 weeks straight. Air the butt fumble.
Yeah.
As bad as that play was.
That wasn't anywhere close to butt fumble.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. He was trying to make a play.
Wasn't.
Oh yeah,
I saw like the replays of it. It wasn't that bad. No.
Jameis Winston didn't play bad in that game. He and Mariota basically had the same stat line in that game.
It was neck and neck until this collapse of epic proportions.
The entire team just quit basically, and Jameis Winston is screaming at his coach on the sidelines, saying, "Just give me a shot. Just let me do something." He's trying his heart out, and his team's letting him down. I don't blame Jameis Winston whatsoever.
His team quit on him.
His team absolutely quit on him.
I forget who it was who's doing the color for that game. Wasn't
it Kirk Herbstreit?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Thank you. It was, and he ripped into Florida State's offense.
He ripped into Florida State for everything. The only guy he didn't rip into was Jameis. He said he felt bad for Jameis, and I believe Kirk Herbstreit over basically anybody. I think Kirk is one of the best analysts in all of sports. He's awesome.
He is awesome because, one, he makes you feel smart, but he knows what he's talking about. That dude absolutely. That dude is a fly on the wall.
Yeah, he was a starter at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
He was a starting quarterback at Ohio State.
Yeah, he's not having a grin on his face right now. No, he's W.
But, and so we're touching on this because then we can focus on Ohio State afterwards. But, in the matchup of the two Heismans and the two quarterbacks entering the draft and possibly the number 1 and number 2 overall picks in this year's draft fall, depending on how far Mariota will fall.
Yeah.
If Tennessee doesn't take him, he might fall for a while.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see some combine.
Does
stuff.
Tennessee like him? Yeah, does Tampa Bay like him? Does Tennessee like him? Do the Jets like him? And if the answer is no to all three, then he's gonna fall.
The best thing
he'll fall to 20 at Philly. If
the
those
best
three
thing
don't
for
like him.
Jameson is for just career wise to go to Florida, go to Tampa because one, at least it's close to home.
Yeah,
and secondly,
I think he does go to Tampa.
He can rejuvenate a franchise that needs help.
Yeah, I think he does go to Tampa Bay. I do. I think Jameis Winston's the number 1 overall pick.
If he goes to Tampa Bay, McCown's a backup. Glennon gets traded.
Oh yeah.
Other way around, Glennon's a backup. McCown gets cut.
Really, you think so?
They save money. They save a lot of money if they cut McCown. Look at the cap figure.
Where is Mel Kiper Jr. when you need him?
Here's a call. Perfect.
Whoa.
So, anybody, this is probably on Jameis Winston, but hi, who's calling and what's your comment?
Hello?
Hi, how you doing?
Good. When we get a chance, I want to speak on the radio to Braden's team.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up? Go ahead. You're on air. What's up?
Hi there. Listen, this is Barb from New York, and I just had to call you because I was having terrible trouble with my computer.
Yeah,
so I missed the whole beginning part of your show, other than I was trying to listen to it from somebody else's phone through the phone. But anyway, before you get to Ohio, I just want to say one thing. I know you're going to talk about them, and Braden, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had somebody like that quarterback that played in
Cordell Jones, yeah.
I love him.
That's perfect.
I get so excited to think that these young kids can do something like that.
Yeah.
So here's my feeling about the whole thing with the Jets, or with the coach for the Jets, him coming in.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm so excited. I think the whole community is excited because we went through having a lot of very stoic, calm, boring kind of coaches.
Doug Marone, Chan Gailey, guys like that don't have enthusiasm and don't captivate the audience, don't get the people riled up. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now we finally got this. And really, when Rex gave his talk, it was amazing because he was very quite humbling. He said, I've been let go a lot of times, different places, but it's been as a group, not singled out, to be fired. And he said, I'm determined to come back.
Yeah.
But anyway, the other thing I wanted to say is, I'm not sure that our whole community believes that E.J. Manuel doesn't have something good in him. Even Kyle Orton, before he left, he said the one thing he wanted to say is that this kid is a real hard worker. He's got the body, he's got the arm, he's got the willingness to study, he's got the footwork. So maybe we'll have a coach that will give him a shot.
Yeah, and Greg Roman found something with Colin Kaepernick. So, and it's a similar skill set with E.J. Manuel.
I would argue that E.J.'s probably maybe a little bit more skilled than Kaepernick.
They're similar type guys. Thanks, Barb, for your call. I really appreciate it. But
okay, thank you.
Yeah, have a nice night. But I feel like that's a perfect, kind of circle back to what I was talking about with Buffalo and everything earlier on. It kind of, solidifies my point with, she's in Buffalo at the moment, and the whole community just wants something to believe in. They want a guy like Rex Ryan that'll get you hyped up, get you believing. Like I said earlier, I've been a Bills fan as long as I've been alive. I've never been excited about it. Like I've always been, I guess I'm a Bills fan because I'm from Buffalo, and
no other choices, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of just that whole like hometown thing where it's like, it's kind of ingrained in you that you support them and you pull for them, but you always get let down. Currently in my inbox on my phone, I have so many negative text messages just referencing the Buffalo Bills. Anything to do with Buffalo is just like, if this doesn't happen, I'm miserable, or blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, Buffalo wants something to believe in so badly.
Well,
they need something to believe in with this team, and they have an unbelievable defense.
Well, think of just not just like the Bills, but think of the Sabres in 2007 when they were President's Trophy winners.
Yeah.
And they lose to Ottawa in overtime in Game 7.
Yeah, I know.
Talk about your letdowns.
Well, you just kind of upset half our audience. But
sorry to bring that up, but it just solidifies how
it's like
desperate.
Minnesota with the shanked kick.
Well, that's different. That's Minnesota. Let's not get into that. Sad
just
story.
don't say no goal and we're okay.
Fair enough.
No, just circling back to Buffalo, they want something to believe in so badly.
absolutely.
Circles the wagons.
Nobody circled the wagons back to Buffalo. That's great. Thank you, Ted.
Circle the wagons back to Buffalo. Wait, we're already here, dude.
That was actually really well, but I
That's
didn't even mean to do
That's the
that.
funniest thing I've said all day.
Someone
that's
write
pretty
that
great.
down.
Yeah,
Circle the wagons.
That's perfect. But
It's immortalized forever in an Audacity recording. So
we're good.
in our
That's
in our
fantastic.
podcasting, and that's another thing I just want to touch on really quick because Barb said she had technical difficulties, and I
Thank
know a
you,
lot
Barb,
of people
by the
that
way.
have.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call. I know a lot of people have technical difficulties with the show. If you do have issues with that, and you ever do miss part of the show, and you want to catch it, when we start podcasting stuff, those links will be posted online on the Facebook page.
Yeah, there'll be YouTube videos. It's just going to be audio. You don't need to have the page up. You can put it on your computer in the background while you're doing something else, or you can sit and listen to it, and you can be on a different screen. You can do some of your own. You can put it on the background while you're working or anything. It's just going to be audio, and we're going to have it on YouTube. And we're going to get that up soon.
Absolutely.
And we will definitely start
At
putting
least
links
before
out.
next week's show, we'll have it up.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Just check the Facebook page. I will definitely, retweet that if it goes on Twitter and share it on Facebook and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So if you have any technical difficulties and you miss part of the show, don't fret. We'll have the recording up within usually a couple of days, definitely before the next show.
and the last thing I'll say on Rex Ryan, unless we have another Buffalo caller, which I wouldn't rule out at this point, honestly, but
With your family, I would not rule it
yeah,
out.
I wouldn't either.
The Carmen family
Very
is
good
alive
point.
and well.
Yeah, it's a good point. But the way I see it is,
Love you guys.
when you have a team like Buffalo, don't try to find some offensive guru like Mark Trestman who's going to come in and fix the offense because the defense is good, so don't mess with that. No. Okay? You play to your strengths. And with Rex Ryan, you have the best defensive coach and the most tough-nosed, hard-headed, blue-collar, let's pump them up guy. That's playing to Buffalo's strengths more than anything because Buffalo has a defense and they have the community. They have the community that is going to support that team. Through terrible seasons, through 20 years of no playoffs, through never having a quarterback except for one guy in Jim Kelly, and they will support that team. So get a guy that's going to get the community on his side and coach the defense, and you'll figure out the offense.
I mean, they were 9-7 this year. They should be optimistic.
They were 9-7 with the terrible coach that basically bored the fan base.
And Kyle Orton as your quarterback.
Yeah.
So I mean, they should,
like I said,
Buffalo fans definitely can be optimistic because
he's the perfect fit.
Brady's not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
The Jets are
say
still a
that.
mess.
And they got the perfect guy to say screw you to the Jets. He now hates the Jets because they fired him. He hates the Patriots because he's always hated the Patriots. He has issues with the Dolphins anyway because he's always hated the Dolphins. And he's got the defense. The Jets were a top 5 defense when they didn't have half the talent Buffalo's defense does. Buffalo has one of the best defenses in all of football with Jim Schwartz coaching them. And before that, it was Mike Patton coaching them. And now it's going to be Dennis Thurman and Rex Ryan. It doesn't matter who coaches that defense. Now you're bringing in the best defensive coach. It can only get better.
Yeah, no, give him a couple of years to get a quarterback.
It's a
coached
better
up.
scheme.
and
It's
an
a better
O-line.
coach. It's a better community involvement. And you don't have a quarterback regardless. Maybe E.J. Manuel's something. You brought in the right guy to figure that out. Because Greg Roman found it in Colin Kaepernick. So you brought in the right guy. You don't need Mark Trestman, who's this quarterback whisperer, because E.J. Manuel's not going to be a pocket quarterback.
No,
he's not. If he's going to be successful, he's going to be running out of the pocket, trying read options and a run-first offense.
Yeah.
That's how he's going to be successful, and they brought in the right guy to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think Buffalo couldn't have done better with that.
Brady's probably only got a couple of years left. Miami, Tannehill, they're decidedly average.
Miami is at their peak. Miami is going to be an 8-8 team.
Miami,
that's where they are.
Miami is decidedly average, and the Jets are a mess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, couple of years, Buffalo could very well be at the top of the AFC East year in and year out for at least 3 or 4 years after that.
Yeah, and now,
I think it takes until Brady retires to do it, but
yeah, but we got to move on. We've talked about Buffalo for an hour, and I want to cover more stuff.
So now
we have 15 minutes. So
to cover the Sugar Bowl. What a game that was!
Yeah, the Sugar Bowl was incredible. Let's combine the Sugar Bowl and the championship into one, just because we're short for time. Ohio State's run this year is just nothing short of miraculous. I mean, what that team has done, they had one of the top 5 quarterbacks in all of college football coming into the year, Braxton Miller.
He goes down.
He goes down before the season starts, and you're forced to go to a freshman in J.T. Barrett.
He goes down.
J.T. Barrett plays amazing, goes 11-1, and in the final game against Michigan, breaks his leg. And was it bad?
Yeah, that was a nasty. You watched that.
He had a fracture in his leg and his ankle. They both broke.
Yeah, you watched the highlight of that. It was his
leg got trapped underneath a lineman, and when he fell back,
Joe
it
Theismann
snapped.
bad?
Yeah, watch it.
Oh,
all right,
it's
bad.
Oh, and to top off, before all that, they lost to Virginia Tech.
They lost to Virginia Tech because it's J.T. Barrett's second game ever starting against a top 10 defense in Frank Beamer's coach defense. Yeah, maybe they're not good offensively, but Frank Beamer knows defense and special teams. That's what they do. So they're playing a tough game, and honestly, that game got moved up because ESPN wanted a primetime game to televise. So they moved that game up on the schedule, made them play Virginia Tech earlier than they were planning on, and that's why they lost that game. So blame ESPN for that one. A lot of people don't know that. They moved that game up in the schedule because they had a common open date, and ESPN wanted a primetime game.
But if anything, Ohio State should be thanking ESPN because that
was their only loss.
They went on a tear as soon as they lost.
But I think that loss is the only blemish on their season. But anyway, J.T. Barrett goes down. They have to start Cordell Jones, and Jones, a guy who's been on the bench for 2 years, hasn't started a game in college, comes in for the Big Ten championship as his first ever start. They win 59-0.
I mean, that was an ugly game. And
it was over from the start. His first ever start is a championship game, wins 59-0. Then they go on to the Sugar Bowl. Big underdog against number 1 mighty Alabama.
They are the kings because they are the SEC is almighty, and we are the Alabama Crimson Tide.
And Alabama's defense, even though they were missing a couple guys this year, they are good. Okay, watch Landon Collins in the Combine and watch him star in the NFL next year. That guy is unbelievable. He's going to be a top 10 pick as a freaking safety. Okay, I mean, Alabama is a very, very good team with 2 solid running backs, the best receiver I've ever seen in college, and I'm not exaggerating. He's better than A.J. Green was. He's better than Julio Jones was, and he's going to be a superstar in the NFL, Amari Cooper.
As good as that defense was, 42 points later.
Yep, they beat Alabama in his second start, Cordell Jones.
They held Alabama to 1 touchdown after they got 2 in the first quarter.
Yep.
Like per quarter, I mean, they had 35 points, and they still put up a fight. But
Alabama played a good game, and they got beat by Ohio State. And then Ohio State goes in against this potent offense of the Oregon Ducks, against Marcus Mariota, who had one of the best college seasons of all time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he
shut him down.
The Heisman Trophy.
Oh, he ran away with it. It wasn't even close.
Oh, yeah.
And Ohio State shut him down. They shut him down. And you want to tell me who Ezekiel Elliott is? My God, that guy's incredible. He had 200-plus yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns in every postseason game this year.
That drop
2, 3, and 4 touchdowns.
That drop by Oregon. the drop by Oregon when it was, I think it was like it was a 3rd down and 20, wasn't it? Something like that in like the first quarter, and the guy dropped it.
Oh yeah, but they had drops all night.
I mean, but that
wasn't a big
particular
turning
one, if he had caught that, because that was a pretty easy catchable ball, if he had caught that, he was gone.
Yeah.
Changes the momentum and the complexion of that game.
Yeah, but I still think Ohio State wins that game regardless on if he catches
it. It would have looked at least closer then.
Yeah, and the box score made it look worse than it was.
Oh,
but Ezekiel Elliott played amazing. Cardale Jones played amazing. I still don't understand why the heck he called a press conference at his high school to announce he's staying in college. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And my tweets were very negative against that.
Okay, hold on. Let's let LeBron James in the decision of going to Miami and many moves.
Oh, no. That's what I referenced in my tweets.
Oh, very good.
That's what I'm pulling up right now. I'm trying to get to my tweets, but my phone's Wi-Fi is going very, very slow.
Just to go by the box score, it was 14-7 after the first. Then it was 21-10 before halftime.
Yeah, and it's loading right now, so I guess I can talk on the Cordell Jones thing just because as soon as it finally loads and I scroll through all of my tweets on the championship games.
Yeah, but you don't tweet a lot, so you're good.
I tweet enough.
Thou tweets minimal.
No, I tweet a little bit. I tweet enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
I tweeted a lot about that choking
Definitely
job of.
enough.
Yeah, that was terrible. But yeah, here we go. Here's my tweets. I said Cardale Jones has a press conference announcing he's staying. Really? And LeBron got so much criticism for his decision. At least when LeBron televised his decision, he actually did something. All his hype was over third string quarterback staying for his junior year. So that's what I said on Twitter. You can follow me at Braden Carmen. But
now here's the biggest question though: how is he gonna do next year? Will
Does
he
come
come back?
There's 3 quarterbacks going back to Ohio State, but the final thing I want to say is you have 2 quarterbacks go down. You're not even favored going into the season anyway.
Oh yeah.
You lose to Virginia Tech on a game that ESPN screwed you on. One of your players tragically commits suicide because of effects of CTE.
That one sucked.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
sucked.
Yeah. Costa Cara George ran away, told his mom he's sorry, he's a disappointment, and shot and killed himself. So that's heartbreaking. And, that's something I battle with every day is depression. So I understand how that goes. I give Ohio State so much credit for everything that they accomplished this year, all of the adversity they faced more than any team I can ever remember. Mm-hmm. They barely even got in, which I thought was a joke. I thought they should have been clearly in, but they barely even get in. They beat Alabama, and then they beat Oregon and the Heisman winner and win the national championship. So I give all the credit in the world to Ohio State. They played incredible. They had an unbelievable year.
Leave it to Urban Meyer to just the mad scientist that comes out of him. The last 2 years he's been there. What was their record the last 2? They only 3 losses?
They've lost 2 games in 3 years. They've lost 2 games in 3 years.
That is disgusting. Because they went undefeated the year they were banned.
Yeah, they were banned. His first year, they were banned from postseason play. They went 12-0
because of Pryor and the whole autograph, trading things for.
And I kind of found it ironic that on the night that Ohio State's playing for the national title, they announced that Jim Tressel makes the College Football Hall of Fame. But Jim Tressel was the Ohio State coach that got him banned from the playoffs.
That's right.
I thought that was pretty ironic. But you give all the credit in the world to Ohio State. And, Caruso, you mentioned it a little bit. And it's just going to be so interesting to see next year for Ohio State. Ooh. Besides their deep threat in Devin Smith, because he's graduating.
And their defense is stellar.
Their entire team is coming back. Yeah. Michael Bennett and Joey Bosa, the 2 leaders of their defense, are both coming back. Ezekiel Elliott's coming back. They have 3 superstar quarterbacks coming back. They have J.T. Barrett, Cardale Jones, and Braxton Miller. Braxton Miller can transfer, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I think he should.
For him, the best thing to do is for him to transfer.
Darnell Dockett was telling him to transfer to Florida State.
He could. That's one of the rumors.
That would be perfect.
That's a rumor, though. It really is. Some of the rumors coming out is the top 2 names that were thrown out there were Florida State and Alabama, because they're both going to be minus a quarterback now. And he fits Alabama's system perfectly.
I was to say, he fits Alabama way better than Florida State.
Yeah, he doesn't fit Florida State. Florida State's more run and gun, and Braxton Miller's the perfect,
Let me just take a step.
He's a perfect fit in Alabama. He's Blake Sims, only he's not an idiot. So I'll say that right now about Braxton Miller. Braxton Miller's a more talented, less stupid version of Blake Sims. So I'll say that right now.
I guess from like a
Ohio State is I just want to get this out there because we only have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Ohio State is clearly the favorite next year.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State and TCU are 1 and 2 in the preseason, no matter what. I'll say that right now because TCU has their quarterback and half their team coming back too, and Boykin and half their team's coming back.
And TCU's always dangerous no matter who they play.
And TCU should have, a lot of people say TCU should have been in the playoffs anyway. If it were a 5-team playoff, somehow they would have been
a wild card game.
Yeah, they deserve to be in. It's just there weren't enough seats. But that goes back to what you were saying. But Ohio State had an unbelievable year. It was a year for the ages. It's the kind of thing that they make movies about. I give all the credit in the world to that team, but Urban Meyer will go down in history as one of the 5 greatest coaches in college football history.
Oh, no question. Even Nick Saban can appreciate how good Urban Meyer is.
I think Urban Meyer is the best coach in all of football, either level. Even better than Belichick, even better than Pete Carroll. I think the
Harbaugh?
best. Yeah, better than Harbaugh. I think Urban Meyer, I'm kind of being controversial here, but Urban Meyer is the greatest football coach alive. That's my opinion. Urban Meyer is the greatest college or pro football player.
I don't feel like
Coach.
getting into another best of all time debate with you again like we did last night.
Well, last night Tanner and I debated best pitcher of all time, but and I said Sandy Koufax. But
we said lefties. But anyways, baseball is next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about baseball a lot next week. The only thing in baseball right now is Max Scherzer goes to Washington, and now Washington has every pitcher in the world.
And yet they still can't win a playoff series.
Yeah, because their offense chokes, because Bryce Harper's their only offense, and he can't hit in the postseason. So there's Washington. But Urban Meyer is the greatest football coach out there. End of story. I think Urban Meyer is the greatest football coach alive. And all the credit in the world goes to Ohio State.
The guy's a mad scientist.
What they did was incredible. Cardale Jones is an idiot for going back to college. I'll say that right now. Why would you not leave? Okay,
get your degree.
He's played. No, he's not. He didn't even get. He tweeted out himself, "Why do we have to go to classes? We're here to play football." That's a direct quote from him.
That's very true. The NCAA should say something about that.
That's a direct quote from him. And he just had a child. He's never going to have a higher stock than he does right now. He's played 3 games.
He would definitely.
He's won 3 championships in 3 games. Big Ten, Sugar Bowl, national title.
Think of how many quarterbacks in the high school
first round.
Right now.
He goes first round.
This year,
he would have gone first.
Yes.
round. Yeah.
Look at this quarterback class. There's 2 guys.
That's it.
There's Jameis and Mariota, and after that, there's no one.
Hundley.
Brett Hundley's the next best guy, and he's not even going in the first or second round.
Think of all the quarterbacks at the high school level that were better than him, and they went to big schools and did nothing.
Yep. Look at Cardale
Stars
Jones.
have a line for this guy.
Cardale Jones should have left now.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't care about classes. He said it himself. He's got a newborn baby to support.
He'd be making millions.
He'd be making millions right off the bat.
Tell the honey,
somebody would take him.
That rookie scale first round still, holy crap.
And now he's going back. He's going back next year. He's not even guaranteed he's going to start.
Yeah.
Minimum wage at the NFL is still good money.
Yeah, the league minimum is over 300,000. So.
Yeah, I mean
I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
but that's 10 times more than a lot of us make per year.
Yeah,
that's more than
our starting salary. Going into broadcasting, my starting salary is going to be $35,000.
Yeah,
it's a year. So I think Cardale Jones should have left. I think he's stupid for going back. In all honesty, I always advocate guys to go back. I think you should always go back. But Cardale Jones is never going to have a higher stock than this. The guy's played 3 games and he's won 3 championships. He hasn't done anything wrong yet.
Well,
now he's going to go back for the year. He might not even be named the starter. This might have been his only chance to leave.
He might
doesn't
get hurt.
care about.
He might get hurt. Look at football. Football's a very physical sport.
Look at the 2. The only reason he even ever shot because 2 guys got hurt. Okay, I think Cardale Jones should have.
I would have rather had him as a 3rd string quarterback than Ryan Lindley.
I guarantee. There's no doubt in my mind at all, not even the slightest bit, he would have been drafted.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt that he would have been taken. He probably would have gone in either the 1st or 2nd round.
Yeah, no,
he should have left.
If not the first round, like Derek Carr area of
exactly
second
early
round,
second,
first 5-6 picks.
I think he would have went in the second round.
I guess
but
maybe for developmental purposes, maybe that's why he wanted to go out, get more games and get more experience.
because he wants to prove that it wasn't just a flash
fluke.
in the pan.
Absolutely. You gotta give him that.
And Scout said if he goes back and performs the same way, and they go all the way again, which I just said, they're the favorite next year.
First overall pick.
He's going to go first round.
Yeah, he'll go first overall.
He'll probably be first overall because he's 6'6", 250 with a rocket arm.
There's a reason why he's called 12 gauge.
Yeah, he's gigantic.
He's like Big Ben.
He's Big Ben with a bigger arm.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Big Ben with a bigger arm.
He's got that Cutler arm.
But Cutler
but he's accurate.
Yeah. Cutler can throw it. He doesn't know where it's going.
Yeah, Cutler's a joke. But anyway, all right. I guess that's gonna do it.
Here,
wait, I told you guys we could do a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
What did I say?
3 people for 2 hours.
I cut you guys off because we were running out of time with a 2-hour show. So absolutely. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, this is Fantasy Inside Access. Every Tuesday night, we are now going to be on from 7 to 9 in Arizona time. I know we have a lot of East Coast listeners, so that would be 9 to 11 currently your time. Thank you to everybody who called in. Thank you to everybody who texted me throughout the show. Just because I don't read it on air doesn't mean I'm not reading it. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. That was Anthony Caruso and Tanner Duke. My name is Braden Carmen. We will be back next week with more of an emphasis on Super Bowl predictions. More emphasis on baseball a little bit. We'll touch on basketball a little bit more and get more caller interaction. So feel free to interact with us throughout the week on Twitter, on Facebook, and call in next week as well. Again, that was Tanner Duke and Anthony Caruso. Thank you guys for joining me tonight.
Sure thing.
Appreciate it. Seats are always open for you guys. My name is Braden Carmen. Thank you guys for listening, for tuning into KJack Radio 1680 AM here in Flagstaff, Arizona. Tune into hockey this weekend, Friday night at 8:30. I'll be broadcasting that. Caruso will be playing in that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, let's hope so. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Braden Carmen. Good night, everybody.